Yeah. With no enemies.
That's it.
Come home, Rambo. Come home.
That's it, look, man. It looks like we got just get our DD214, J Dub.
Yes.
You know, I think now we're just gonna have to collect our retirement checks and just talk about the good old days.
Yeah, the glory days of the console war of 2013 through 2024.
Damn.
Yeah. It was fun.
We beat them out of a business, bro. We didn't think like, man, maybe we should have went easy on them.
I'm gonna be honest, Puerto Rock. I didn't know it was gonna be a self sabotage. I didn't know that the ABK deal going through was gonna be the end of the console war.
Yo, like they were self-inflicted. These guys cheered their own demise.
Listen, they stayed up 48 hours looking at FTC trials.
That is true.
Just to turn around and give all the games to PlayStation. God damn.
Like, man, this is crazy. This is crazy, man. Like, yo.
Yep.
We got Stellar Blade coming, and now looks like the PS5 Pro is things about to smoke out of the barn. So,
crazy part, you got these rejects still like fighting, but like they're fighting. I don't even know what the fuck they're fighting.
I don't fight with it.
I don't even know what they're talking about.
That's when you conquer the kings of the Xbox community, you don't deal with the pawns.
You're like, yo,
that's true.
hey, we're too high ranked to deal with the pawns.
Like, what the hell is you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, yo, their arguments don't even make sense. I'm like, are you arguing on content? Like, what is this, third party wars, man? You go have that conversation with Ubisoft fanboys.
They're talking about TV shows now. I mean, I had to tell somebody the other day. I said, look, Fallout, I can play Fallout right now on my PlayStation. So what are you talking about? And I've watched that show, and it's got one of my favorite actors, Walter Goggins, and he's an outstanding actor. I met him at a Comic-Con here in town. But that show, they're literally comparing it to The Last of Us. I'm like, why? This makes no sense. I mean,
I saw the first episode. I enjoyed it. I liked the first episode.
Yeah, I thought the first episode was fine. Yeah.
I'm into the console war. I'm not into the TV show war.
They're doing TV.
They could deal with that shit. I don't give a fuck about that. But the first episode was good, so I'm looking forward to seeing more episodes. I enjoyed it. It still has that Fallout feel. They did a good job so far.
Yeah, so far.
I don't care about Fallout show versus Last of Us show. Like,
I didn't either.
Like, the fuck are we talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Like, doesn't even make sense. Like, what?
Yep.
Like, if a show's good, it's good. If it's dog shit,
yeah,
it's dog shit.
Yeah, like that Rebel Moon on Netflix, that is dog shit. So both these shows are better than Rebel Moon. So.
Yo, it's just weird. Yeah, man. Shout out to AC. He said console war over. Shout out to the panel. And we got what's going on? Oh shit, we got the judge. The judge is up in here. We got the judge.
Yo, what's going on, y'all?
We got Judge Dredd up in here. What's going on, my brother? Man, we're glad everybody here. Everything's good, man. Everything's good. I mean, we're just talking about me and Jay Double, like we're soldiers without a war.
Yeah.
Like this peacetime shit is for the birds. Like we got nobody to talk shit to.
We got all this ammo and nobody to disperse it on.
Like, man, we got the largest budget in the defense and we can't use it.
Man, it's just for the moment because I see a lot of Xbox are making arguments about exclusives on PlayStation. As far as like the one I saw earlier today was why Final Fantasy VII isn't a success and why exclusives don't matter. And it's
that's not console war.
That's not a console
war, man. They're just a bunch of crabs trying to keep us in the pot. That's all that is.
Crabs in a
That's
barrel.
all that is. They're trying to keep us in. You know what I'm saying? They're like, we're screwed over, so you guys got to get screwed over. That's all that.
Well, the thing is that this is from the same group of people who said how Starfield being exclusive and Quantum Break being exclusive and Redfall being exclusive and was a good thing. So Final Fantasy is on Xbox. They didn't buy Final Fantasy the Crisis Core. They didn't buy it. So it's very easy for Sony to
barely
go in
bought
there and be like,
15.
They
That was
didn't
day one
even buy their
multiplayer.
own games. They didn't even buy their own games. That's why we got them on our platform. So
yeah, that's why they're on our platform.
That's not that. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, any PlayStation guy out there, you got ignore these dudes. It's a time waster. It's a time waster.
They're just
the war is over, man. The war is over.
Right now, it's clear what they're doing, right? And PC's in on it too, right? At least the PC fanboys and shit like that. Right now, they're just trying to create, and it blows my mind how they haven't figured out the bullshit you say on Twitter doesn't mean anything. Because if it did, Xbox would be like the #1 brand in the world. If bullshit mattered, if internet Twitter bullshit mattered, Xbox would be the most dominating brand ever. The way they spoke about it. But it's not.
Yep.
You know, so like these guys literally, you know how we joke about cope and seeding? These guys literally actually do that. They actually cope and seed and make up shit for I don't know why. I don't know why they just can't live in reality. So they out here talking all that shit about third-party exclusives is bad only because they can't get it no more, right? Obviously, we know why PC gamers don't like it, right? Because they don't have a first party to advocate for them, right? So it's not like Valve is going to give a fuck and try to money hat third-party titles to be exclusive to Steam. You know, they're not going to do that. They don't give a fuck about that, right? So no one really advocates for PC like that, right? So it really comes down to the 3 console manufacturers: Microsoft, Nintendo, PlayStation. Let's talk Xbox, right? Xbox put all their games day and date on Steam, and now that they bent the knee to PlayStation, they're not gonna money have third-party titles, right, or stuff like that. So PC knows Xbox is safe. They're not gonna do nothing that's gonna interfere with the PC ecosystem, right, or PC platform. So it really comes down to 2 platforms left that will fuck things up for PC, where either the games will be exclusive and PC don't get to see it, or be timed exclusive and PC, master race has to, PC third class race. They have to wait like a year or 2 years for the game to come out, and they don't want that, right? So let's start with Nintendo. Nintendo's easy. PC really fucking hates Nintendo. Because them dudes, they know Nintendo gives no fucks. And if they try to emulate Nintendo games, they will get sued. So PC really hates those guys, right? They want Nintendo games on PC. And then you got PlayStation. Now, the one thing about Nintendo, they won't money hat a lot of third party, because if there was any money hatting, it would probably be like a weaker, a game that could run on the Switch. So the big AAAs and stuff like that, PC is safe from Nintendo. But then that's where PlayStation comes in, because PlayStation has the hardware to money have third-party titles, right? And it could be kept off PC at a minimum timed. And PC gamers don't like that. So
like
PC
GTA 6.
Yeah.
Right? If a PC guy want to play GTA 6 day one, they ain't got no trust but to go pony up $500 and buy a PS5. So they really mad at that.
Yeah, but that's a Rockstar decision,
Yeah, but third party, right? Like for example,
Rockstar. But they don't want something. Yeah, but
Fantasy Rebirth. And
well, but PC don't want PlayStation to make those decisions.
No,
if a third party on their own said, "Hey, this is time to exclusive console because of reasons," PC games are cool with that, because third party. What they don't want is a console manufacturer to influence that decision. And right now, the #1 console left to do that is PlayStation, because Xbox is not going to do that anymore. Well, they haven't done that. They always including PC and everything over the last 4 or 5 years. So really, PlayStation is the only brand where they can screw things up for PC gamers in terms of missing out on games, or they have to wait for games for like a year or 2 years. So they're on this crusade, right, where everything on PlayStation sells bad, which is ridiculous, right? Because how on one hand you can go, oh man, Dragon Dogma 2 at 2 million sold amazing well on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, yet Final Fantasy selling 2 million day one, oh, that's bad. That's not good sales. The logic, it's just the idiocracy of this community. Just knows about. So 2 million is bad for PlayStation exclusive, but 2 million is great for a multi-plat. Now, look at this. Capcom, right, with Dragon Dogma 2, they had to fund the game 100% themselves. They had to fund the manpower on PC, on PlayStation, on Xbox. They had to fund their own marketing. They had to 100% do the work all themselves. With Square Enix, Sony supported them. They only had to fund it on one platform. Sony paid for the marketing, and they probably help assist with the development of the game. And the game's still going to come to PC.
Was 16.
Yeah, the game's still going to come to PC. It's just really timed exclusives. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you're saying a game that got funding from PlayStation, got marketing money from PlayStation, and the initial cost was just on one console, sold 2 million in one day, failed. But the game that had to be budgeted for 3 platforms, marketed all on their own with no support from anybody, that was successful. Like, get the fuck out of here! Like, this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, you can't take them. Yeah, that's why I quit taking them seriously. It's like this makes no sense at all. So it's just time to move on.
Yeah, the funny part is they think if they keep repeating this on Twitter, that somehow is going to result. Like, I think they feel that if they say it enough on Twitter, that Square Enix is going to look on Twitter and make decisions based on Twitter. Like, man, look at all these people that keep saying we should have done this. Oh my God, we're going to make a corporate decision based on Twitter. Like, no, nuts. Exactly. They're making, like, God damn, like they have the numbers. They know the deal they made with Sony. They know how much money they got with Sony. They know how much it costs to develop the game, and they weighed all the options out. Yep. That's how they determine success. They use metrics. They don't use Twitter from fanboys who really don't buy games in the first place, right?
Exactly.
It's fucking hilarious. Yeah. So they actually think that they just keep repeating on Twitter, it's going to change something. Like, no. Listen, the worst case scenario happened. Xbox bought out of the console race. They're done. Yep. So really, the only 2 competitors, Nintendo and PlayStation, they're both in their own lanes. So in the AAA gaming lane, you best believe Sony's going to keep getting third-party exclusives. For the PC gamers, you better hope that at least the ones Sony does also includes PC. Because if not, you're going to be waiting on sloppy seconds, just like Xbox guys. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, that 40.
And let's face it. Let's face it, Puerto Rock. Most of these bots out here, or that a lot of them try to get upset with Xbox, and they go to PC, and it's like, listen, right? Let's stop acting like you didn't spend $500 on the world's most powerful console, and you got $3,000 or $4,000 just sitting aside to jump to PC, and all of a sudden now you're gonna be okay. No, because if that's what you were gonna do, you would have did that a long time ago.
You could have done that from the start.
Version of them, exactly. But this is that fraud mentality, man. They want a lot of themselves and try to lie to everybody else, but we call bullshit all the time. You're an Xbox console gamer. You've been defending that shit for the last decade. You're not suddenly going to go and buy a PC and suddenly be happy. That's not what you're going to do.
Well, some did. Mm-hmm. Some not doing it. I'm like, yo.
I thought you were a console only gamer. Yeah, exactly. Even the ones that do, they still go out here and defend Xbox.
I don't even know why.
What was the point?
They don't want to go away.
Like, you left. You gave up your console. Why are you still here? Like, why?
They gave up the booty. They basically I got 1,500 games, and again, they don't want that thing to go away because a lot of their their parasocial relationships that they have with each other is on that Xbox. That thing shuts down, then you wake up tomorrow and see CNBC says, "Hey, look, the Xbox is selling." Or Microsoft is selling the Xbox branch to XYZ company. They'll go off. I mean, I think some of them will seriously think about unaliving themselves. Seriously, I'm not saying it to be funny, but ultimately, it's over. I saw some PlayStation folks streaming Grounded today, which still looks like garbage, but apparently, allegedly, allegedly it's the better running version of that game.
Oh man, that's just embarrassing. Like any first party Xbox game running on better on PlayStation for any reason is embarrassing, man. Like how is Xbox first party developers? Man, I could only imagine, right? I could only imagine. Like, imagine this. Rare gets their SDKs from PlayStation for the first time ever. And they're working on Sea of Thieves. And as they working on it, they realize, they don't do it in front of Phil or in front of the executives, but on their own, they're like one guy's programming, and he's like, "Hey, yo, Bill," and Bill's like, "What? What's up? Hey, yo, is it me? Is this PlayStation SDK slap?" He's like, "Bro, this shit slaps, bro. I don't know, like, bro, like." Yo, yo, this is like, yo, our shit is dog shit, bro. Like, what the fuck did we make? Like, I don't know, bro. That fucking dude, bro, created some bullshit. Like, this shit is dope. Like, yo, look how easy it is to port this shit, bro. Like, yo, bro, and like, yo, this unified memory.
Yeah.
And the SSD, the SSD. Bro, you'll feel coming. Oh, hey, how you doing? How you doing, boss? Hey, how's it the PlayStation? Oh, you know, it's kind of challenging. It's nothing like our Xbox, but we'll figure it out. Okay, yeah. Man,
Did
fuck
you see?
this. Fuck this as Xbox SDK. Yeah. Like, bro, this is too easy, bro. No wonder PlayStation be making bagging games. They ain't gotta go through this bullshit we go through. Like, tell me, bro. 12 T-flops. I still haven't found them shits.
Yeah, I still don't know where they are. And now PlayStation's supposed to have 60 CUs, but or 56 of them. But here's the thing that I tell people about that Pro. It's going to have RDNA 3 and 4 core. So you all better, you better get ready to pay for it. I was saying this the other day. You get your cheeks ready.
We've been saying that. No, in fact,
I know.
That's what I'm advocating.
Yeah, like, for it to be expensive.
If this thing comes out at $499, once again they cheaped it out. Once again, they half-assed it. There's no way you're gonna get a good quality mid-gen refresh at $499. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
We need to talk about. I'm gonna be personally talking about the 33 T-flops. That's what I'm gonna concentrate on my channel.
But I'm saying, like, if they're gonna sell this product, they gotta actually market it to the right audience. And like, you can't release the Pro at $399 worrying about the $499 worrying about the price conscious consumer. The price conscious consumer is gonna go for the PS5.
That's true. That's what they'll say. Yep.
That's literally what they're gonna go for. They're gonna go for the $399 PS5.
As they should. That's
the price conscious consumer.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this. All right.
Is it about 33 T-flops?
You know this is what's going to happen, right?
No, what?
Digital Foundry is going to do what they always do. They're not going to compare Xbox to PlayStation. They're going to compare PlayStation to PC. So they're going to compare they're doing that now with the 4090 to the PS5 Pro.
Absolutely, as they should.
Yeah.
It's fine. As they should. Because the reality is, like, unless you're an idiot, right? If they do a comparison to, let's say, well, you know, with the 4090, blah blah blah, and all this setup, cool. 4090 trumps Pro, but at what price? Are you willing to pay the $2,000, or are you gonna pay, let's say, $650 for the Pro? Because that's where the console comes in. It comes in.
They refuse.
Console's the bang for the buck.
To do it.
Yeah, but console.
They're PC guy. They refuse to bring up cost.
How much?
They refuse to bring up cost at all.
But if let's say somebody goes to Digital Foundry and they say, oh, you know, the 4090 or the 4080, whatever model, and they're like, yeah. So this is a decent mid-gen refresh. It still doesn't compare to PC. And then you see that other guy, the Andrew Antagonist, whatever, the real Xbox fanboy. Yeah. He comes up and whatever. And then let's say a gamer listens to Digital Foundry and they be like, damn, I thought the Pro was gonna do something, you know, and it's, let's say, $650, right? He's like, man, I guess I'll listen to Digital Foundry and get a 490. Then when they go online and they be like, $2,000, get the fuck out of here! I'm getting the Pro.
Guess what? It costs $2,029 for the white edition.
You're not getting a 4090 PC for $650, $750, or even $850. Not even for $1,000. Not even a G.
God bless America.
You're not. So $2,000. So at the end of the day, people can say blah blah blah, whatever. But then when a person goes, all right, let me look at the PC and sees that price point, they'll be like, whoa, like I'm not trying to pay that much for frames. You know what I'm saying? And that's really it. But the main thing with the PS5 Pro is it has to be what is it meant to be? What is it? Who is it for? Right? Is it a high-end, hardcore, bells and whistles gaming device? Or are you trying to go for the price-conscious consumer, which wouldn't make sense because you already have the price-conscious consumer platform, which is the PS5. So Sony's got to make a decision. between the two. Now I'm not saying go all out at $1,200, right? Yeah. But a $600 console at this point, or $650, is reasonable if you expect something significant over the PS5. I don't think $499 will cut the mustard. I'll be very surprised if they release at $499 and it actually is a significant leap over the PS5. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think the price is going to be somewhere in the $650, $6,700 range. And
I'm thinking six without the drive minimum.
Yeah, you're gonna have a bunch of people, Puerto Rico. You're gonna have a bunch of people complaining and crying. It's too expensive. X, Y, and Z. Because it's just, I don't know. People are gonna get out of it whatever. I guess they're gonna get it.
Well, wait a minute. I said it was going to be a few months ago, and y'all killed me on this show. So now you're agreeing about the price. I said the price is going to be $699.
I didn't kill you.
No. I wanted to be higher.
You're right, Craig. You're right.
Yeah.
Shit. If anything, Extreme was hoping it's $900.
Extreme didn't say it needed to be high. Yeah, he said 800. It's like price is right.
Extreme price that bitch. He said you better break out the Visa Black card to get this motherfucker. That's Extreme's point of view.
Yeah. Get a second job.
He said Extreme says you better get that Visa Black card to get this shit. You know what I'm saying? But I'm thinking $600 minimum.
Yeah, that's what I think.
That gives me confidence. That gives me $599. That gives me confidence that they were serious about the technology inside the PS5. $499
sounds like they are.
I don't know about that one. Like the price of a launch PS5, I don't know about that one. You know, and I'm saying $599, and I'm saying $599 without the drive.
Yeah. If it comes at $499, I'm not buying it.
You gotta buy the drive separately.
If it comes at $499, I'm not buying it. It's not worth it.
I'll be very suspect. Like if they announce a $499 price point, I'm gonna be like, I think I'm gonna wait and see some performance reviews.
That's what I want to see.
I just want to be able to own the world's most powerful console.
I'll be like a $499. I'm gonna be like, yo. What are you gonna say, Judge? You gonna say something, Judge?
I think that brings up two interesting points. Number one, let's just say on one end that it is closer to $700. I'm gonna just say $650 for a good, as a good average, because I think it's going to be anywhere between $600 and actually $650. But I don't think that they're going to. I don't want to use the term mass produced, but I think that it may be a little bit hard to find it just because of the fact that for reference, when I think of two consoles that actually did cost around that amount of money, $700, I think of the Panasonic 3DO, and I think of the Neo Geo. Yeah, they were mass produced, but they weren't always always available. Even right now, if I was to compare this to the PlayStation Portal, even right now, PlayStation Portal is not even available. I'm in Virginia right now, and I can't even find that. But not to go off on a tangent.
Hard to find.
Yeah, going on a tangent. I think if the price is just too high, I think Sony will already have it in their mind. It's like, all right, we instead of making 1 million, PS5 Pros, we're only going to make 350. So I think the scarcity of the system is going to be one thing because of the price.
Yeah, but I think they're going to try to do 1-to-1. I think they're going to try to do 1-to-1 per order. I think that's what they're going to do.
But then that goes into a second point to Puerto Rico's point. When let's just say it's the PS5 Pro is priced the exact same thing as well as far as the hard drive of the place, or at least the launch PlayStation 5 is now at $500. Then it's like, well, at that point it's like, well, is it really worth it? And I know this kind of segues into whether or not if the PS5 Pro is going to be successful or not. I think Sony is really, in my opinion, I could be totally wrong, but I think Sony is really pushing themselves not only into a corner but into a very specific corner where it's like I don't see a happy medium between what somebody like Puerto Rock or us on this panel would want versus what the consumer is willing to spend.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. There is no happy medium. You got to pick a lane and live and die by that lane. And for me, Well, if you look at the PS4 Pro was the price conscious. They launched at $399, so it was a pretty cheap price. But the end result, they said for every 5 PlayStation, 1 Pro was sold.
Yeah, 20%.
So the PS4 Pro was PS4 Pro didn't sell a lot. Probably sold decently, but didn't really hit the wave, right? I think when you want to do a mid-gen refresh, there's only one thing that comes to mind. Like, why are you doing a mid-gen refresh? It's power. So you have to demonstrate that, right? And at a certain point, you have to be like, listen, this is the power, this is the performance. You're going to get a really powerful hardware. You're going to get the very best versions of PlayStation 5 games, but you got to pay for it. If you don't like it, buy a regular PS5. There you go.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
You pick your lane.
That's what I would say in marketing. You're going. This is for the gaming enthusiasts. I've said this before. This is going to be for the enthusiasts who possibly has an 8K TV because we're going to be able to get to 8K through this super sampling that they're whatever they want to the pisser, as you would say, Puerto Rock.
That's right.
They're going to get the pisser to 8K. Yeah, and then
get pissed on.
And you already know all our games are running at 60 frames per second. So what else are you on? Oh, here comes Death Stranding, locked 60, and this game called Grand Theft Auto, 60 frames per second. Go buy this then. And people are gonna if they can walk out at some point and Rockstar releases a statement.
I'm telling you that if I was Sony,
sell that console.
If I was Sony, that would be my number one objective. We gotta get. Well, that's gonna be 60 frames because that's Kojima. Kojima does magic. He's like, wow.
Yeah, fair enough.
He just waves his hands and that shit's whatever. But if I was Sony, that is like my number one goal. We got to I'm gonna be honest, if they don't understand that they have to get Grand Theft Auto 6 at 60 frames, whether it's through Pisser or whatever the fuck, if they don't understand that, then I'm sorry, Sony's lost. They lost the plot. They have the wrong people working for them. Because if I was there, I would literally be like, listen, I am going to move to Take-Two headquarters, and I am going to sleep there. But you best believe when Grand Theft Auto 6 launches, it will be 60 frames on the Pisser. It's going to be. We cannot have this game without 60 frame, at a minimum, a 60 frame option. It cannot be locked 30, and that's it on the PlayStation 5 Pro. It cannot. I will not allow it. I will move. Like if I worked for Sony, I'd be like, I am moving to Take-Two headquarters. I am going to be in their office and I am staying there until they launch that game. Because that game is launching with 60, at a minimum, 60 FPS performance option. And it will be the only console to do it. The only
they can do that
console.
If they can say that.
Which and remember,
Sony has a partnership because it was announced by Jim Ryan at the beginning of this generation.
Yeah,
that was the first thing they announced was a partnership, and now you're seeing statements like, so not from Sony. We got to make that clear. This is not that podcast. So Sony has not come out and said anything. But if they come out and they say our partners are going to be doing 60, well, I mean that's Rockstar because they in Rockstar games are partners. So this like their partners with the Yeah, go ahead.
I don't expect Sony to come out and say anything regarding frames per second. Yeah, I think because they don't want to be like Microsoft, right? They don't want to have to back themselves into a corner because eventually, right, you're gonna run across developers that their shit is unoptimized.
Somebody's gonna do something stupid.
Somebody and third party is the only. It's the only thing that you can't mandate. You can mandate second party, first party, and stuff like that. And you're exclusives, but you can't mandate just fucking EA. You can't. So
no, I agree. I agree. That's why I think
they're
partnership
gonna shut up and let the games do the talking. And right now, a lot of people didn't know until Digital Foundry said. A lot of people didn't know that all of Sony's first party games offer performance modes with 60 frames.
We said it.
Yeah, we knew that.
We knew it. We knew it. But
there is not one.
But until Digital Foundry comes out and says
there is not one PlayStation game first party that is locked 30 and that's it. Like you're stuck at playing 30. Not one.
Yeah,
in terms of PS5. In terms of games being made for PS5.
And I will add with the Pro, not to interrupt you, Puerto Rock, that if you love the first party games, for Sony.
Oh,
then
the
Pro,
they're gonna ball
the
out.
Pro could be for you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're waiting on second and third party announcements, probably if that's what you're waiting on, and that's perfectly fine as a consumer, because I'm not gonna tell you how to spend your money, but then you may want to pause because you're like, well, I want to see what the third and second party is going to do.
But I think some of them will take advantage of the play. It's just really who and stuff, right? Yeah. But I'm gonna say this. Though. Sony it starts with Sony, and I'm gonna be honest. They can't worry too much about the price conscious consumer. They just can't, because this console, the Pro, is not going to be the main selling platform. It's not going to be the platform to build a fan base to grow those big numbers. They have to rely on the base PS5 for that. Dropping the price, little digital. The Pro is just, they should look at it as that unique fan base within the group that really wants that power, and for the PC gamers that don't want to wait a year or 2 years for PlayStation games, but for them, the regular PS5 is not enough. They could be like, you know what? The PS5 Pro is my happy medium of powerful hardware, and I don't want to wait a year or two for these damn exclusives to appear on my PC because I'm so tired of waiting.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, good. Yeah, that's a legitimate way to look at it. But yeah, the way I'm looking at it very simply as a consumer is that, hey, look, they already have games at 60, so what are they going to do? Can they do something with this 30? Like Forbidden West is 1800p checkerboard at the 60. Can they do 4K?
That's what I think. Yeah, that's what I think they're going for.
That's
right?
what we're waiting on.
I think for those games, right, that already have performance mode, they want the visuals, the fidelity to be closer to quality mode. So like they want. I ain't gonna say they want, but I would imagine one of the goals is to have performance mode games on the PS5 Pro, but with the quality mode on the PS5, but at 60 frames. So now you're not making trade-offs. It's to minimize the trade-offs of lower resolutions, lower effects, lower whatever. Now you get more bells and whistles at 60 frames.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But again, I'm waiting to see if that's what they can do. I'm waiting to see.
So we got Jay Breezy. What's going on?
Yo, what's good, guys? What's up, everybody?
What's going on, man? Hey, I heard I heard New York is getting hot, and all the snow bunnies are out in the street, and you on the prowl.
Oh yeah, it's summer dress season. You know what I mean?
It's hot. J Dub's like it's. J Barry's like it's hot boy summer. Here we go.
Listen, I went for a jog earlier today, right? And I'm hearing the thong song. I said, it's time.
That's it.
I ain't hear that song in years, bro.
It's hot boy summer. He's like, it's time to go to Coney Island. What's going on, my brother? It's been a minute, man. How's everything, man?
Yeah, everything's good, man. Just chilling. You know what I mean? Playing some more Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, closing in on the platinum. You know what I mean? Like, listen. That game is difficult, man, but I love it. But you know what I mean? Just listening to the news, hearing what everybody's talking about, it's about to get crazy. It's about to get crazy, man. Listen, I asked the question earlier. Would you buy Xbox?
Hell no. You know the answer to that shit. Ain't nobody buying that motherfucker.
Absolutely. Rhetorical question. I learned that from Jada. You know what I mean?
Holy shit. Okay. And then we got Extreme. Hey, I saw your last video. A nice, and I'm gonna tell you, man. A lot of points you said in your last video, I absolutely agree. Right? I just like for example, the first person view. Right? When you play a game and you try to reposition yourself, but you turn around 180, you're vulnerable. That's why, like a lot of first person shooters, is meant to just be forward. Like you stare at it, forward, back, strafe. But it's never meant to turn around, because that's just. So I agree. Like certain games shouldn't be first person. It just shouldn't, because of those mechanics. You made some great points. What's going on, my brother?
Hey, listen, guys, it's pretty good. As you can see, it's getting cooler around here, so we are quite the opposite. So Jabari, don't come and jog over here. Because
my man's about to hit winter in June, bro. That shit is crazy, bro.
Really much.
Yeah. It's the opposite down there.
There you go. As you're getting warmer, I start
I'm glad I know that now, right? Because I'm gonna be honest. I don't think they taught us that in school. I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember.
Wait, you've only been in the northern hemisphere, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like even in Europe, you were in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, which is even colder, right? But like,
Yes.
and I'm gonna tell you, I know they didn't teach you this. You know how I know they didn't teach me this in school? I know some people, oh, they taught you this product. I'm telling you, they didn't. It's as if Australia never existed. I'm telling you, and the reason why I know, because there's a lot of dumb shit I learned in school that is absolutely useless and to this day has done nothing for me. For example, like, you know, like you get liquid, right? You ever stare at liquid from the side? You have that nice thin film on the very top of a liquid. That's called the meniscus. That's called the meniscus.
The fuck?
The meniscus. That's what it's called. It's called a meniscus. Exactly. What the fuck am I gonna do with that info? But for some reason, I learned that in earth science. That stood in my head, and I learned that at 13. And to this day, I still know that. And it's like people ask me, "What is the most useless piece of information you know?" There you go, the meniscus. Completely useless. I don't even know why they gave it a name. Like, what fucking scientist was so bored you wanted to define that little tiny film that's above liquid? It's just fucking weird. Yeah. Anyway, so I know, if I know that, I would have known that, you know, you guys will be in winter. But I'm glad you told me, because, you know, one of the spots my wife would like to go is Australia. But her thing is summer. Yeah. So if she would have told me, hey, let's spend the summer in Australia, I would have booked the flight in like in August. July, August.
Oh man.
Yo, I would have been like, what the fuck?
That would have been crazy.
I would have came out with cargo shorts and a tank top. I'd be like, the fuck?
No, do you know when you know you would have fucked up? When you're about to land and then they tell you what the weather is at the destination. And then, of course, they will tell you in degrees Celsius, and you'll be like, what the fuck is that? And then you go to your calculator, you're like, wait, what? You're like, that's a summer weather.
Yeah. I would have been like this, convert Celsius to Fahrenheit.
Hey, Extreme, I got a question about that.
I would have been like this. I think I would be like, my phone's broken. I need a new update.
Yeah, you'll be like my iPhone isn't working.
According to my iPhone, it's 42 degrees outside. The fuck? in July. Man.
The brain.
What's up?
Yeah, my question is this. I know Sydney and Melbourne, I think very much closer.
Melbourne, not Melbourne. Sorry, not. I'm very iffy about that. Melbourne, Boone,
Melbourne,
not Born Legacy. Melbourne.
Isn't there R?
Yeah, there's an R. It's not
Born Legacy.
It's not Born. We don't Born. Okay, technically it's Melburnian, but it's still it's Melbourne.
Melburnian.
It's Melbourne. Okay,
Melbourne.
That's just
thank you for the grammar correction. My question is this: in northern Australia, regardless of what month it is, since it's closer to the equator, isn't it always warmer in northern Australia?
In the Northern Territory, I don't know. Because I haven't been, and it's
like Darwin. Nobody gives a fuck about Darwin. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know I'm right.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I don't.
The reason why I bring up that place because
New Zealand.
Because we got a military base up there in Darwin. Listen, I'm gonna tell you. Let me tell you something. If there's a Marine base near you, it's because it's a shithole. We don't pick good spots. You will never. Like, I'm surprised we even have a place in California. We pick the worst spots in the world, bro. Like, what the fuck? Why out of all the land you stationed us here?
All right, let me see. Now you've asked me a question that I actually don't know because let's see, whether in the Northern Territory. Because the thing is, here's the thing: Australia has states and territories, and we care about the states, and we don't give a fuck about the territories. That's basically it. It's built-in racism, you know. It's like how you guys on the West Coast don't really give a fuck about what's going on in the middle part of America.
Oh yeah,
because you just go West Coast.
But you can't blame us.
Nobody cares about what's happening in the middle.
So this is something people don't understand. Like, let me show you something. I know we're off topic. But I gotta show you something. I gotta show you the map of the USA. I'm gonna show you something. A lot of people don't realize this shit, right?
Thank you, Chad Stud.
I'm gonna show you this. I'm gonna show you this. Okay. I'm gonna show you something. Here we go. We're gonna do this. I'm gonna show
the
you
majority of the country. Nobody gives a fuck about.
Like,
there's the East Coast, the West Coast, and there's Texas. Nothing else exists.
Exactly. There's only 3 states in America.
All right, look at this shit. All right, I'm gonna show the chat. Let me put this in the map. All right, let me show you something. All right.
Holy shit, it's hot as fuck up there.
This is for everybody. This is for everybody outside the USA. Okay. So obviously these are the 48 states here, right? The other 2 states is in Alaska, which is all the way up fucking here in Canada, and then you got Hawaii all the way in bumfuck in the middle of the Pacific, right? But let me show you something. Yeah. I'm gonna zoom in. If I could zoom in, okay. Let me show you something. Let me zoom in real close. Okay, I'm gonna show you real close. Okay, this little dot. You see where my little magnifying glass is, guys? That's called Brooklyn. Yeah. That little tiny spot right there, like this, like New York City is this right here. This is Long Island. You know, it looks like a penis sticking out, right? It looks like New York's like sticking out his penis, trying to fuck Connecticut, right? But the little ball sack right here, that little tiny spot is Brooklyn. That little spot has 4 million people. Would you believe?
Just in that
little tiny spot. Would you believe that one tiny spot has more people than these states combined right here? Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota.
Yo, big fact.
That little dot in New York. It's not even a city. It's a borough, right? Because New York City is 5 boroughs. Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Bronx, Staten Island. And that's not even all of New York. That little dot has more people than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states combined. Yet they got more voting power than New York. That's why no one gives a fuck about the Middle East. Now I get it. I get the reason why the system's built that way. And so that way a mass population cannot overwhelm the smaller population in authority. Yeah. But those 5 states have more power voting for a president than all of New York. And all of New York is like 16 million people. Brooklyn, my borough, has more people than North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Wyoming, Montana combined. I'm talking, you take those 5 states and we can fuck them up. Brooklyn could whoop their ass. That's how many people we got in Brooklyn. Never mind us calling in the Bronx. It will be over. We could take half the country on. Brooklyn and Bronx up in there, you know. Yo, Brooklyn and Bronx could take on half the country. Like half of us. Like 30%. 30% of America's in New York. Like it's crazy, right? But that's why half of us don't really give a shit because there's nobody here. Texas has a lot of people. But this little area, there's hardly anybody. Like one of these states has like 500,000 people.
California. It's only California, Texas, and New York. None of the other states matter at all.
I think North Dakota has like 500,000 people.
Yeah,
500,000 people in the whole state. That's like one person every 10 miles.
Yo, Josh, since we're playing geography, I found your answer. Oh. So they don't get seasons; they only get the 2. Like a tropical country, they only get wet and dry. So they don't get summer, winter, and everything like that. They only get wet and dry seasons because of the reason you said. They are closer to the equator.
So they're tropical.
Because that's what I knew. Coming from Cameroon, I'm just above the equator. So equator. And therefore I only get 2 seasons as well, wet and dry.
Yeah. Let me hit up the chat. Let me hit the super chat. Of course, we got AC member for 15 months. He says console war over. Shout out to the panel. I mean,
that's how you know, because we're talking about geography. That's how you know
we run out of topics. We're gonna have to talk about woke or some shit. Like, yo, there's no console war. Like, bro, all right, you know. And I'm not gonna compete with the What's Up PlayStation podcast because that's the PlayStation podcast. So Jay Barry's holding down PlayStation. There ain't no war. The fuck are we gonna do? We talk about geography.
We talk about geography. Exactly.
We talk about I can finally figure out what the meniscus is. That's what we're doing. Welcome to my journey and figure out what the meniscus is for. Chrono.
That's easy. That's the it is a piece of tissue that's in between your knees. So that's why your knees.
No, I'm talking about the water. I'm talking about the water. The water. I'm talking about that meniscus. Earth science.
Water.
But that's a good one. I didn't realize. Oh shit! So all right. So Chrono Rig, he says Nintendo just hired Gio Corsi, so his connection I think will help get more third-party support. Who's Gio Corsi? Who's Gio Corsi? He's from PlayStation. He's from PlayStation. Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. They taking whoa Nintendo. They're trying to mooch products. Yeah. They're trying to mooch out personnel.
No, Gio left. He left PlayStation like back in 2018, right after the last PlayStation experience.
All right.
Yeah, around when Adam Boyce left, Geo stayed on like probably a year or two.
Yeah. Why he's been doing since?
Remember Geo was the Vita guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why we got rid of his ass. Now it makes sense.
Oh shit!
Now I get it.
Hey,
Nintendo definitely want to have like a more aggressive third party approach too. So,
well, technically,
Barry, before you say that, we got to see that hardware because Nintendo might give us the same goddamn hardware that's in the current Switch and rename it. And Nintendo, listen, I have no faith at all in Nintendo when it comes to hardware.
Oh my god, yo,
they don't care. They just don't care because
they repackaged the same performance, like bro.
Listen, they gave us a Switch OLED. All they did was fucking change out the screen and add the price extra $100.
They're gonna come out with the Switch 3D.
Yeah. You know, use some gimmick and use that same shitty ass hardware.
Some crazy
everybody
shit.
gonna buy it.
Oh man! So shout out to
fans love it.
Man. Hey, all right. I guess SNK says Xbox fans, if you broke, just say that drizzle. Jenna Hayes, P-Rock, a fellow Boricua, Cult Classic Cage spitting nonsense about FF16 Rebirth sales being a failure, making me sense. I'm telling you, man, these PC cats out here, they understand that the last bastion of third party exclusives is in the hands of PlayStation.
Yeah,
and they're trying their best to make sure that doesn't happen. And I'm telling you, Sony's going to keep going after them third-party deals. Especially now, where the limelight on console is all on them. Shit.
Yep.
Liquid data.
Think about it. Go ahead.
Go ahead. All right, it says liquid data.
Most of the third-party now are just skipping Xbox altogether.
Oh, yeah.
And just going fucking straight to PlayStation and PC.
You know, I think
why are they saying that Final Fantasy is a failure? What's the
here's the thing. Here's the reality. So Dragon's Dogma 2 sold 2 million. Final Fantasy Remake apparently sold 2 million. But one's a success, even though it's on every platform. One's a failure, even though it's exclusive to one platform. Right? And never mind, while they were making Final Fantasy, Sony paid for the marketing. The development cost is only geared towards one platform, all that stuff. While Capcom's Dragon Dogma, no one helped them with the marketing. They had a fund for all platforms, day and day on their own, right? But apparently that's successful. I think the actual thing is, just like anything else, these dudes try to create a narrative on the internet, and they're hoping companies get to notice it, and they'll make business decisions based on a narrative on it. That's all it is.
100% right.
That's all it is. They're creating a narrative. They hope that if they say it often enough, loud enough, and get everybody in, that Square Enix is going to be like, oh my god, they're right. We should have put on Xbox. Oh no, wait, we got data and Xbox don't buy our games. That's the funny part. They act like Square Enix is a bunch of idiots. Square Enix knows who buys their games. Like, it's not like Square Enix didn't make a full-out multiplayer on PC and Xbox before. Final Fantasy 15 was an all-out multiplayer. Yep. They put it on Xbox and PlayStation day and date, and a year later or whatever, they put it on PC. They know.
Crisis Core sold 90% on PlayStation.
Square Enix is not stupid.
Xbox dudes didn't even touch the game, and they made something for them. Yeah. So it's like,
So Square Enix knows that the primary audience is PlayStation, and whenever Sony says, hey, we'll pay for marketing and we'll help with development costs, that's even bonus for them.
I had conversations with people as well trying to paint that narrative, and I shut it down quick because they're trying to tell me things like, oh, but it didn't sell well in Japan. And I'm looking at the Japan news. I'm like, it's the best-selling game in that region. And then other regions like Germany, Genki just posted that it sold well in Germany. It sold well in UK. In the US, with 3 days of sales, we knew that it's the fourth best-selling game of the year. Yeah. And the second best-selling PlayStation game for the year as well. So I don't know what metrics people are using. Obviously, we're waiting for Square Enix to announce something.
You don't matter the metrics they using. Our console died a fiery death, and so we got to do something. We got to do something. And I'm gonna tell you,
J-Dub, the thing is, hold up, J-Dub. The thing is, they're not even playing that console. It's just engagement farming. They know that they can put out a negative news and it will gain traction because people's gonna either debunk it, but they don't give a damn what they're saying. They're like, as long as people come in and watch it. Yeah, that's what it is.
But I've said this, guys. I've said this plenty of times. Mark my words. Right now with Xbox dudes, it's not about making Xbox greater or anything like that. Now that they know that the console war is over, every fiber in their being is to tear down PlayStation under any circumstance, no matter what kind of news, whoever get laid off, any kind of metrics they got. It's just because they're in that angry phase.
They're straight kamikaze.
Exactly.
Burn the world.
We lost, so I want PlayStation to go down, and I wanted to, that's just what it is.
It's scorched earth. That's all they're doing. It's scorched earth. Shout out to Liquid Data. He says, "I'm willing to pay $700 for the PS5 Pro." As you should. There
you go.
Liquid Data. He asked. I think we all paid. Especially if it comes out $700, then I'll be really impressed. I'm gonna be like, okay, Sony's serious now.
If them specs is real. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think they're gonna take a loss. They're gonna take a loss for sure, but
no, you know what? That's another thing. I don't think they will. That's why I don't buy the $499 price. They're not gonna take a loss. They're not. They're not playing. I don't think they are. I think they're gonna sell that console and they're gonna make money off day one. I have a feeling they're not going to play that.
Their goal is they'll make very, very slim
even if it's little, even if it's
a penny,
even if it's $1,
no fucking loss.
Yeah, because that's not going to be the best selling console. That's just the more.
Oh yeah, that's just that's why I'm saying I don't think it's going to be for. If they sell that thing for $499 and not take a loss, I'll be like, get the fuck out of here. Like,
you got to think about it. If they sell it for $499, that means they're going to have to cut the cost of the regular PS5, which means they're going to take a loss. They don't want to take a loss at all. That fucking PS5 still selling for $500. 3.5 years into the generation.
Low key, I think the specs is real because they shut down that Moore's Law. It's their video
copyright. I know extremists like it's real. It's like this motherfucker real. So somebody copyrighted Moore's Law's video. You might as well just unveil the thing tomorrow. Like you just might as well. Like why even wait at this point?
Hey, that's another thing, Puerto Rock. When do y'all think they're going to reveal it? Will it be this month or next month?
I don't know. I think it's going to be in fall,
September, October.
No. That's it's going to release in the fall. I'm talking about when they're going to. Mark Cerny's going to come out and do his spiel.
I don't think he's going to do a spiel. Didn't they unveil the PS4 Pro like in September? It was like quick.
No. PS4 Pro got revealed like in January or February, and then they released it in the fall.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was
they better not announce it during that showcase. I know that.
Why?
Why not?
Because that's just going to send a negative connotation. The media going to run with it. The fanboys against PlayStation.
Fuck them. Boy, bump our chest out.
Sony.
We got 33 T-flops. You want T-flops?
See right there, that's P-Rock Brooklyn side right there.
That's it. Fuck them, bro. 33 T-flops, boy. Let them cope and seed. Let them complain.
You know what? Digital Foundry, watch Digital Foundry. They're gonna be mad for whatever reason. Man, these motherfuckers. They low key can't stay in places because they know, man. Like Xbox pay their bills.
You know what? Sony has to announce it before Microsoft officially announces that their console thing, because they didn't officially announce it yet, right? They're all digital.
Microsoft's not doing a midget.
No. They're not. But they're gonna announce their all digital Xbox Series X, the white.
Oh, nobody care about that.
But what I want is Sony to announce their shit first, the specs, the powers, the performance, and then Microsoft announces their shit, and people be like, "What the fuck? I want Sony's got to do it before Microsoft, so that when Microsoft announces, like, we got." we got better Wi-Fi.
Puerto Rock want them to drop that nuke right before they show.
Yeah, I want that shit. I want PlayStation. I want PlayStation sites like, yo, we got Joey Schwo. And then the next day, Microsoft's like, we took the discount.
Yeah, the day. Hey, Puerto Rock, the day before. Drop it the day before the event.
Yeah, the day before the event.
Hey, yo, y'all want violence.
I want that. I want Microsoft to be like, we got a new Xbox. We took the discount. And
hey, drop that shit at midnight the day before they show, just at midnight.
Yo, and make sure they have an article saying the benefits of the Xbox games.
I want that shit.
Please.
I wouldn't give a I would be so petty if I was Sony. I would be like, yo, when is Microsoft going to officially announce the Xbox? We're doing it the day before.
No, hey, what if
I would be so fucking goddamn petty.
What about the new Call of Duty as a showcase game?
I think the new Call of Duty will be marketed on that Pro. For sure.
Hey, that'd be crazy.
They
show the trailer.
Microsoft does that. Trailer,
oh my god! The Desert Storm trailer, and it says running on the PS5 Pro.
You know what?
Oh my god!
You know what would really make me petty self? If fucking they released a Pro and on that show Microsoft shows Starfield and is running at 60 FPS. Oh my god!
Oh man!
Oh my god! Forgive me, bro. I need Jesus, bro.
Hey, that's storm the Capitol.
If that happens, I know at that point I'm not going to heaven because Jesus is like, nah, that's way too low, bro. Like you are not you are not welcome here next to God.
You remember Rocky? And he's like, throw in the towel. That's a throw in the towel right there. Boy.
Shit. Boy, Comcast better keep the internet off me, bro. Oh man. Shout out to Liquid Data.
Don't lie, that's gonna be fun times.
Liquid Data. He says, "Do y'all think Sony will get a GTA 6 as a timed exclusive, even if it's 6 months?" No.
That's what I heard. That's what I was told.
Really, I don't think so.
They got a
Listen,
they'll have the better running version for at least a year or two because it ain't coming out on PC for at least a year or two. So that's the same as exclusive. That's the same.
You don't need GTA exclusive. Just having the better version is going to be a body shot.
The better version.
The only exclusive you're gonna get from GTA is the commercials. That's it. And it says PlayStation. That's about it.
I'm gonna be honest. Puerto Rock, that's all you really need, right? Just to associate that game, just to associate it with Sony or a PlayStation, that's enough. You don't need any time. You don't need plates? You don't.
I can see that. Controller, definitely. I can see that.
Exclusive.
They don't have custom plates. They dumb as hell.
Yeah, they'll be dumb not to have a custom plate. But I will say that. But that's about it. We got Jay Bar. He's up in here. He says, "Hit that like button, nerds. No lisp." Andrew Wilkins, Craig look like the evidence locker cop in Rush Hour 1. He's my holder of all receipts. Donnell Brown.
Fight back, Craig.
We got Donnell and his dog shit Raiders. And Clippers. He says, "We want Pastor to be a member of the 30 FPS no lag." Oh shit.
Man.
Pastor hurt me, bro. Liquid Data. He goes, "I'm thinking July. It might be July. It's gotta be before Xbox. Announce that shit before Xbox announces the white. Because I just want to see the reaction of the gaming community when Sony announces this, the frame rate, the pisser, shows all these games with improved things, and then the next day, Phil Spencer's out there like, we got a new Xbox. We took out the disc. And that's what we did.
Do y'all think Herman Hulse is going to come out in showcase, or do you think it'll be? I mean, because we don't have Jim Ryan.
It's not going to be the CFO. It's not going to be the CFO. It's going to be Herman.
Yeah, I know.
Because he's done a couple. He's done a couple of videos.
It has to be
Mark Cerny. No, not Mark. Introducing games or the console?
No. The console. Mark Cerny has to give his breakdown because he did it with the last one.
That shit. But everybody fell asleep, bro.
Well,
Puerto Rock twice.
But check it out.
Listen,
this is the reason why people are gonna tune in. Because last time everybody poked fun at him. They said he was bored, and now that's the most watched video on YouTube because everybody went back saying, "Damn,
it's the most played." But were we actually up to watch it? We just let it's like Netflix. Are you still watching this? That's why his lectures need. Are you still watching my lecture? And you have to be like, yo, I keep trying. I try to make videos. And I'm like, And I'm like this.
Well, I have a confession. I actually really liked it.
That he oh my god,
on your legend, bro.
I would hate to be in a goddamn university with that guy. I would be like,
what? You would be the best professor, man. Hey,
I'll be asleep. I won't learn shit.
Nah, man. Hey, I had so many bad professors that bored me and were bad.
At least you know, at least this time, right? You know, he knows people are not gonna take him for granted because they mocked him. Everything he was saying, they mocked him.
He's brilliant.
The variable clocks, and them variable clocks came out. That 9 T-flop ended up
that shift,
smoking the fuck
that
out
AMD
shift.
Wasn't that shift? What's it called?
No, that ain't like J-Dub. He told him don't get caught up in that T-flop.
He tried to tell them. He tried to tell them. They didn't want to listen. Guess what? Now he's one of the most clipped people. Still uses. Yeah.
Well, what's that thing the PlayStation 5 has that automatically shifts frequencies?
Yeah, smart
shit, baby. You got that smart shit. You ain't got that smart shift. You thought machine learning was gonna help y'all.
Machine learning.
Y'all needed that smart shit.
Yeah.
That PlayStation looking like Toretto from fucking Fast Five. The shift, baby. It's all about the shift.
It's crazy. Everything Xbox in the marketing team and those guys ended up saying that the Xbox was going to do, and the PlayStation could do. PlayStation ended up doing it, and the Xbox hadn't showcased that it could do it. It's just crazy how the tides really turn with ray tracing.
You know what?
Stuff.
Someone in the chat put Cerny is PS5's Oppenheimer. In Oppenheimer, wasn't the atom bomb project called Trinity?
The Manhattan. Manhattan Project into Trinity was the test.
Trinity,
was a test.
Right? It was the Trinity test, right?
Trinity was.
Is it PS5 Pro Project Trinity?
Yeah,
based on about to drop a bomb on your ass.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Phil Spencer like we surrender. Fuck that. We're gonna make sure no one's left alive.
All games on there, so we can survive.
We're about to drop that bomb. Shout out to Halomoko. He says bots are comparing sales of Rebirth, FF16 to remake, FF15 sales. But what they don't say is that FF15 was multi-plat and remake released on PS4 with a player base of 110 million. The PS5
they know that. They know that.
They know. They just don't give a shit.
Yeah,
they're gonna.
I said it the other day. I said it the other day on Twitter. Like it's really dumb. The conversation is because first FF16 was a failure, but now they're using FF16 sales, another exclusive game that's only on PlayStation 5, to try to say that FF7 is a failure. So now FF16 is a success, and now FF7 is a failure. Like these dudes are dumb.
These are the same people that said God of War Ragnarok failed because it sold 6-7 million copies or whatever, not given that the install base compared to the previous. So you look like Puerto Rock said a long time ago, man. Don't let these detractors. Don't let them. They just mad that they bought the wrong fucking console. That's all. You can't let them.
They get rid of it. They act like they're stuck with it. That's what I don't know.
I really believe
games sold for 7 million.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Gears.
You know what? Every time somebody asks that question right there, they never can answer. They always deflect. Always deflect.
They'll never have a game that can sell anymore.
So, like this one comment on Twitter, guy said talking about Paris. He says, "I remember there's one guy named Vicious696, which is Paris, saying maybe he would have loved to see this on Xbox and how that might be good for everyone. He might have been right on this one, seeing how sales aren't as stellar as projected." And he's talking about Final Fantasy Rebirth. I'm like, okay, on Xbox, all right, I could maybe understand if he would have said PC, but what the fuck Xbox would have done?
Yeah,
like even Microsoft don't even trust their own Xbox sales for games. You think Square Enix is gonna trust Xbox?
Look,
Square
even
Enix
on
not
PC,
gonna, come on,
and this is what people don't fail to realize. Even on PC, Final Fantasy VII remake sold like barely 1 million copies.
Yeah.
Barely. I think it was like right there at the 900,000 mark. So, and that's an install base of 3 billion, right? So, like, get the fuck up out of here, man. Like, let's stop the cap.
You know what? As far as Xbox, when the Series S and Series X, but mainly Series X, it's two things for me. Number one, when Xbox Series X was coming out, and or we was hearing more about it, people were talking about Series X as if it was a fucking PC. As far as the machine learning, the velocity architecture,
machine learning,
and not to get the other one, the
full RDNA 2,
mesh shaders, VRS 2.0. Don't forget the VRS, the Verge,
the Rapid Pack,
the Verge. That shit had Verge 2.0.
Yeah, DX12 Ultimate,
52 CUs.
And then secondly, the other part that that they did not do, and to me this was really telling, but I left it. Well, I wasn't on Twitter yet. They wasn't talking about any games. In the games that they were talking about, they were talking about, well, it's going to run, last generation games or
the old shit,
7th generation, at 4K 60 or I'm sorry, that's
auto HDR.
Auto HDR and up to 120 frames per second. And it's like, damn, if I'm buying a new system, I don't give a fuck what it does with the old shit. If I'm gonna buy a new system, I'm buying a new system based on a new game. For the new shit. Where's the new shit? What are you talking about this? And I always found that funny, especially with the Xbox centric YouTube channels. Now I'm not gonna call anybody names out because I think we know who they all are. And no, I'm not talking about what's the guy's name? The main one.
Colt.
Colt. Yeah, I'm not even thinking about him. I'm thinking about.
Yeah, you are. Call him out. Be nice.
I was thinking about Mads Gaming. That's who I was really thinking about.
Oh, I know you. Yeah, there's another one.
I used to like him.
Oh yeah,
he's still around.
He was another one. Yeah, he quiet though. They all got quiet, boy.
Yeah, but y'all quiet now. But it's just crazy. It's like, I keep on hearing about about all this theoretical stuff as far as what it's going to do and why it's so much better than than anything that Sony doing or the 12 teraflops. So I was like, man, fuck that. What about the games? I mean, the whole point of me buying a gaming console is for a new gaming console. Let me be really clear there. It's for me to play the new games. What new games are coming out? And to me, that's why I thought that, or at least it solidified why I thought that the Xbox Series X was going to be a failure because of the fact that it's actually, I would make the argument to say that it's actually worse than the Xbox One generation.
We try to tell them that shit. I know that was listening to us.
The Xbox One is outselling the Xbox Series X and S combined, so that kind of tells you where this is why they basically gave up on Xbox. So.
So we've been preaching that. We're like, yo, you trying to sell the new shit with games from the old shit. Hey. People didn't buy the old shit, so what makes you think they're gonna buy the new shit? Boy, you thought we were speaking a foreign language when we try to explain that. Like, you're trying to sell a new console with old games, yet those old games when they were new, they didn't even help the old console. So how is old games gonna help the new console when those games were new, they didn't help? Like, yo, it blew my mind, the logic these guys had. Like, you're gonna try to sell a new console with the old shit that didn't help the console was made for. Like, whoa, you guys are bugging. Like, you guys are bugging with this bullshit.
Just reasons.
Like, y'all bugging. That's the stupidest logic I ever heard in my life. Like, y'all crazy. Y'all bugging out. But anyway, let's go. Let's talk about Final Fantasy 16, man. Like, what is it with Gen Z, man? What is it with these motherfuckers going after Gen Z? So apparently, one of the metrics of Final Fantasy 16 was trying to reach out to a newer audience. So with Final Fantasy 16 being so different from the predecessors, it's essentially an out-and-out action game, in case you didn't know. It's clear that the development team didn't want to be shackled to series tradition. And with that approach, you naturally start to gravitate towards attracting new players, people who have never necessarily been sold on Final Fantasy's more traditional gameplay. Fortunately for Square Enix, it sounds like Final Fantasy 16 managed to accomplish that goal. Speaking in an interview with Push Square, DLC director Takeo Kurijara Kowa gave us some insight on the matter. I hope I pronounced his last name correctly. In recent years, I fucked it up. Did I butcher it?
No, you right.
All right. He said, "Nah, you all right." You know what I'm saying? You know, Jay Barry fluent in Japanese and shit. In recent years,
I mess up too, bro. Whatever I say, that's what it is.
Jay Barry's the Shogun of Harlem.
Absolutely not.
In recent years, players of the Final Fantasy series have tended to skew towards a higher age range, naturally, because we were the OGs, right? However, this time, there are survey results showing that more people in their teens and 20s played Final Fantasy 16. He continues, I think this shows that to a certain extent, we achieved one of our initial goals to have players of all age play the latest Final Fantasy game. Interesting. Let me ask you something, man. You think GZ, anybody in the panel, you think Gen Z is going to fuck this shit up?
Yes.
Go ahead, Judge. Let them know.
Yes. Gen Z is going to fuck everything up. The reason why I say that is because of, number one, anybody on the panel ever heard of quiet quitting? That shit don't make any sense.
No, I'm gonna be honest.
See, exactly my point.
I'm gonna be honest. No, I'm gonna be honest. I love them for that. Like how we didn't think of that shit. Like I can't hate on them for that one. That's a good one.
What is this?
Quiet quitting.
Because
you never heard of quiet quitting? Listen, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. There's certain things Gen Z created that I'm thinking, you know what? So quiet quitting is when you quit at work, meaning you're doing the bare minimum, but you didn't officially quit. You're just doing the bare minimum until they fire you.
Okay.
People been doing shit for years. They just gave it a different fucking name.
I like it. I like it. Listen, there's certain things Gen Z I do. I'll tell you one thing I do like about Gen Z. And listen, this one thing I do. I know. Judge, look at his eyes. Judge is like, what the fuck is going on here? Listen, Judge, listen. There's one thing I do like about Gen Z, right? They said, hold up. Gen Z said, hold the fuck up. A business could literally walk up to me and says, hey, we're laying you off. You are fired. Pack up your desk. You're leaving today. But yeah, if I want to leave, I got to give them 2 weeks? Fuck you. I'm like, you know what? They got something. I'm just saying they have a point. We don't get 2 weeks notice when we get laid off. They fire our asses on the spot. And then we gotta go home to our wives and explain we got laid off. And then hear her bullshit. Well, not me, because I'm in the military, so it doesn't work that way. But I'm pretty sure eventually. Well, you know what? I ain't got to worry about that either, because if they fire, I'm like, bitch, I didn't need this job anyway. I got a check from the government. I'm a veteran. The fuck? I collect VA claims. Fuck this job. I'm a quiet quit. I'm a quiet quit. You think I don't pull that shit? I'm going to be like, listen, I'm going to remind y'all, I don't need this goddamn job. I could just stay home and do shit. All right? I get a check. So fuck y'all. I ain't doing it. But anyway, besides all that. But I do like Gen Z's attitude. They're like, hold up. We don't get 2 weeks. You don't get 2 weeks. I'm just saying.
I agree with that.
Judge is like, wait a minute. What's going on here?
I agree with that. The only issue that I have with that is that Gen Z is getting credit for things that have already been happening. It's just something that's been going on. I've been in corporate America for over a decade. Okay. I mean, the status quo was always. Well, I ain't gonna say that it was always there, but the status quo was always the bar was low. That's the best way I could put it. It's just that to me, Gen Z, they getting credit for things that other generations. And I'm not even going to say that our generation. No, except you, P Rock, because I think you Gen X.
Oh yeah, I'm Gen X. We're the feral motherfuckers. You think I'm lying? Bro, they had commercials reminding our parents if we were home at 10 o'clock at night. Like National Broadcast Television America used to say it's 10 p.m. Because we would stay outside. Like, we wouldn't go out. I remember my dad used to come out with the belt to try to get me home. He would literally come outside with the belt to get me home. If he didn't, I would just stay outside. Like, fuck it. Winter, rain, sleet. So we were feral. We were the latchkey kids. That's these kids, like, we would come home, we 8 years old coming from school, and we would have a key with a chain, open the door, walk in, our parents not home. Like, when we have a microwave, so we got to cook our own food on the stove. But we didn't, burn the place down. It's like, we were feral. Like, we did what the fuck we want. We were like crazy. Like, Gen Xers was like this weird thing. Like, what the fuck do we do with these guys? Like, they leave us alone at home. We're out all night. That literally on TV, they had to remind parents, as your kid's home, they're like, oh, wait, my fucking kid is still outside. And they come out with the belt in public attacking us. Telling us to get back inside like we're fucking dogs. You know what that is? Like, my dad chasing me on the street and I had to run home and stuff. Like, yo, it was crazy. Like, you couldn't do that shit now. Imagine today you see a parent walk around the street swinging that belt at their kid up and down the block. He's going to jail. He's going to jail. Motherfuckers going, oh, yeah, go ahead.
So going back to that point, I think that Gen Z is getting credit for things that, other generations, what's going on previously, like in Gen X or my generation, millennials. So as far as I'm concerned, it's plagiarism, but specifically with Final Fantasy 16,
plagiarism.
It is plagiarism.
He said
it fucking is. I don't know what it was called. I wouldn't have a name for that, but yeah, I agree with the fact. Hey, if I can't give you 2 weeks,
they copyright infringement.
Yeah, it is plagiarism. Trademark, copyright infringement.
It said y'all motherfuckers didn't make that shit up. They're like, hey, sorry, we got the copyrights. This is our shit now, Grandpa. They're like, okay, Boomer, this shit's ours now. We made this shit. We put it on TikTok first, so it's ours.
Yo, I love the judge. I do.
Oh, my man said they plagiarized this shit. We made that shit up, and they get the credit.
Like, why are you copying my essay?
He said, wait a minute, that's my essay.
Plagiarism.
He saw that shit online posted, and a Gen Z took credit. He's like, wait a fucking minute, that's my report. They didn't write on printed paper. They just took white out and lined over his name and penned in their name. They didn't even have the courtesy to redo the title page from scratch. Like, you could scrape it and see his name.
Judge is like, I've been quiet quitting for a decade. I just didn't call it that.
He's like, bro, I've been quiet quit.
It's like, I quiet quit out of everything. I quiet quit out of relationships. I quiet quit out of jobs.
Shit.
I quiet quit.
He's like, I've been quiet quit. Back in my days, we just called it, we didn't give a fuck. I ain't doing shit. That's what we called it. I ain't doing shit.
In my generation, I've barely been trying.
Oh shit, my man said we didn't call it quiet quit. We just said I ain't doing shit.
I said fuck this shit.
We used to call it laziness. You guys came out, you called it quiet quit.
We called it laziness. Y'all call it quiet quit. Oh shit. Oh, okay.
But to answer your question, as far as the Final Fantasy 16 and them marketing to Gen Z, just a quick question. What is the age range for Gen Z? And the reason why I think
up to 27.
Up to 27. Whoever's 27.
Up to 27.
This year, up to 27 right now, as of this year.
Yeah. So 12 to 27. That's what
12 to 27. Thank you. Yeah. So the reason why that's relevant to my response is because of, going back to your original question, do I think, Square Enix maybe, was that something bad on it and targeting Gen Z? I would say yes, because of, well, almost half the damn range between 12 and 27, unless there's some child labor issues going on, how are they going to afford it? Either they're going to ask their mom or even if, I'm not going to say a 27-year-old because I was buying games and shit, whatever the hell I wanted at 27. But the point is, to me, I think that was the wrong audience to target. I mean, half their age group is not really in a position to be buying games like that. So I don't get it. And I don't really understand. It's like, hey, if I'm in the business of making money, then I'm gonna target that audience that that is more likely to spend money or have the disposable income to spend money. Whereas, hey, maybe I can get more sales. But yeah, to answer your question, P Rock, yeah, I think that Gen Z is fucking shit up.
Can I go next because I have an opposite take?
Go ahead.
So Porsche, as we know, is this premium luxury brand, right? And they had the same issue as Final Fantasy. Their age range was just getting older because, especially as cars get more expensive, the only people that can really afford Porsches with comfort are over 40 years old, right? And that was an issue. That's an issue for any brand that is going to, basically become that, because basically your audience is dying. That's essentially what's happening.
Yeah.
Because if the average Porsche owner, is like 50, that means that a lot of them are in the 60s and 70s, and they only have so much time left on this earth. Okay. Now you also build a reputation of being the old person's thing, right? Like when you think about cigars, young people, Gen Zs, do not think about cigars, right? It's the old person's thing. So what do you do in order to bring a new generation and make them interested in your product?
You make flavored cigars.
Porsche, exactly. You make them e-cigars. That's what you do. That's what you do. So with Porsche, they came up with the Taycan, and incidentally, because it was an electric car, it actually brought people that were 30 and under into the brand. And what that means is that they are now have the potential to be lifelong customers. So now you go from someone that is 40s and 50s, and they only have, let's say, 20 years left. After that, they won't be interested in your car anymore because they won't even be able to drive it. Now you bring in a 30-year-old, and they have 50-year lifespan to be able to buy a product.
Hopefully.
So I think that's what these companies are looking at. With Final Fantasy 16, you're right. The 12, the 13, the 15, even maybe up to the 18, they might not be right now, today, when it is launched, interested in the product. But they will grow a little bit older. And if they pick up Final Fantasy 16, let's say at 21, now you've got, again, a potential 50 years of a person actually being interested in the Final Fantasy series. So that's why you have to find a way to appeal to the new generation, even in anticipation of them finally maturing to that level where they will be interested in your product. Because if you start building up that reputation of, oh, this series is, for example, which series do I think this about? Take a look at something like, what do we have? Quake, for example. Like if you show Quake to a new person, they're like, no, that's like old person stuff. Like that was hot when it was your thing, but I'm not interested in Quake. Unless Quake can come out and give a product that will appeal to today's generation. Because if they give you a better Quake, like let's say they give you a better Quake 3 and they call it Quake Infinite or something, right? The problem is it will only appeal to those people who used to
grew up in the game. Yeah.
Exactly. And then even if they keep doing it over and over and just keep better and better and better, it will just keep appealing to a smaller and smaller slice. And then it develops this reputation of, oh, this is only for the people that were around back then. Take a look at God of War. God of War did the same thing. That's why they did a reboot. Because if they did God of War 4, a direct, let's say it was a more direct continuation, as in the gameplay style was the same and everything else was the same and the story was a direct continuation, then it will only appeal to us that were there for God of War 1, 2, and 3. And it will just build up this reputation of, oh, listen, if you weren't there around back then, you're not going to have an entry point into this series. So it was easier for them to do, it was better for them to do a soft reboot to be able to say, yes, we will capture the old audience, but we will also give an entry point to new fans. Final Fantasy has always had that because each Final Fantasy is delineated and it is separate. But in terms of play style and gameplay style, turn by turn isn't the hot thing it used to be anymore. So new people, that are coming up on gaming right now, they are not checking for that. Like they're just not. So I think just like Porsche, they had to find a way to attract a new customer base while still honoring their traditional customer base. Exactly. Yep. So how well they did that, that is a debate point. But the actual ambition to bring in new customers, that is a good thing.
Okay.
I don't agree.
He said they're just lazy, but they call it quiet quitting.
Go ahead.
No, fuck that. I'm not gonna give a dissertation. I'm gonna be lazy and just say I don't agree and leave it at that.
I just don't leave it at that. Shut up. Liquidator said,
if you're a true Gen Z, you would have just said wrong.
That's it. Liquidator says, I think Herman should be the new CEO of PlayStation. That's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be a topic for another day. Like who's gonna take over?
I don't think we got should be Herman though.
Yeah,
I don't think he won.
I don't think so. You don't want the game guy to be the business guy. Yeah. The artist needs to be the artist. The business guy needs to actually be detached. Like I liked the G. Brian Herman pairing. Let the business guy mind the business. Let the art guy protect the artist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. That's equivalent to putting Neil Druckmann in that position. It's like nobody after Jim Ryan explained what he had to go through, 3 different time zones. You had to fly up into 3 different time zones every single month, every single week. Who the fuck wants that miserable life? I don't care how much they pay you. It's fucking miserable. Like,
And
who
you can't care about the art when you've done that. Like when the art is the reason that you're flying
Yeah,
that much and you're
absolutely.
going that much, you're gonna start to hate it. When these artists come to you and they're like, "Hey, I want an extra 50 million to do this
You'd
one
be like,
thing that will be
"Shut
seen in
the
this one scene,"
fuck up.
you'll be like, "What
Yeah.
the fuck? So I have to come back to your studio and test this again? Fuck no, no.
You're
Stick to the
fired."
plan.
Yep. Nah, I
Shout out
agree.
to Bobo Country says XDev, Stellar Blade, Firewall, Concord, first party. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So I know we touched on this. So okay. So I guess according to Judge, Gen Z sucks. All right. Good to go.
Oh man, wait. Hold on. They said shout out to Oz Reaper. He said your chat is down on the podcast. They keep having errors.
Is it down? Like,
Yeah, I'm going through the same thing. I can't type it.
It's a yeah. I don't know if it's a YouTube thing or just this stream thing, but yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Is the stream up?
Yeah. Are we up?
Yeah, I'm
the
watching
stream
it
is
on
up.
TV. Yeah,
Check
the
it
stream
out.
is up. I'm
It's
watching
gotta
it on
be. It's
TV.
gotta be YouTube then.
Yeah,
No, it's not. It's not. There's an error. I can't.
Yeah.
Some people can, but I couldn't before.
Are you doing it now?
Yeah.
Phil said enough is enough.
It's Jim's
Podcast up.
up.
Okay, it's open up back again. All right, it's working for me.
It's probably YouTube then.
Yo, to speak on the whole Final Fantasy 16 thing.
Yeah. Go ahead, brother.
The last 2 main entry Final Fantasy games, 15 and 16, were made for the newer audience.
Yeah,
Final Fantasy is at its at this point in the series where you're at 16 games, and yeah, you do want to attract a newer audience. It's no different than when 7 went to PS1. It's attracting a newer audience with its 3D graphics and things like that to get those people that's looking for new hardware like the PS1 into the series. And the same thing with 15 and 16. That's what the same thing they're trying to do with it. But the beautiful thing about this day and age when it comes to Final Fantasy, it's catering to everybody's needs. So you have 16. Yeah. You got the remake with 7 remake and Rebirth. You got Final Fantasy 14. So if you're old school, middle school, new school, you have a bunch of Final Fantasy games to play that fits and cater to your needs as far as what you want from a Final Fantasy game. So I think they're doing a great job. Obviously, I enjoy 16. I do miss some of the elements of a traditional game, but now I'm playing the greatest game ever created, Rebirth. So I'm good.
That's why I didn't mind Final Fantasy 16 coming out the way it did, because I knew Rebirth was coming. So we don't need 2 versions of Rebirth. Like, we don't need Final Fantasy 16 to be the gameplay of Rebirth and then Rebirth comes out. So that's why I didn't mind. I enjoy Final Fantasy 16, and I didn't mind that it was a totally different style of gameplay, because I knew, like, if you really wanted the more traditional gameplay or even a better variation, Rebirth is coming out a couple of months. So that's why I didn't mind. And like you said, Final Fantasy 14 as the MMO, that's another thing for Final Fantasy.
That's the hardcore.
So it covers all bases. So I think that's a good thing. Yeah. Shout out to Ghost in the Garage Gaming. He dropping the hundo. He says the Pro is on its way. He says, I make ridiculous amounts of money when I work for my previous employer. I was home 18 hours a week in different countries and time zones, and I can attest, this wears you down. What's up, fellas? Yo, who is this guy? Is this guy you work for PlayStation? Who is this guy? We gotta find out.
It's Jim Ryan.
Yo, chat. We got Jim Ryan in the chat. He calls himself Ghost in the Garage Gaming. This dude, he slipped. He's like shit. My man, Jim
Ghost said,
Ryan.
I'm the new CEO of PlayStation.
Ghost out here like, Jim Ryan watches 60 frames no lag. Oh shit.
Big facts.
Facts. Good shit, man. That's crazy. Yo, I can't. I'm gonna be honest. Like nowhere near that. But when I was living in Germany, right, I would travel to different countries. Like once, like I would travel. I would spend like 3 weeks traveling every 3 months, going between Germany, Spain, Sicily, Norway, and Georgia. You know, and that does like wear you down and stuff like that. Well, it really didn't wear me down because I loved it, but because I was in Europe, right? But I could understand, like, man, all this traveling and shit like that. You know, like being on the plane and shit like that. Like, yo,
he doing that for 30 years.
Yeah, for 30 years. Like, yo, or whatever. Yeah, that's just some shit right there, right?
Yeah, that's why I say it's a position that everybody can't fit in. You don't want to take your main guys who's in charge of making games, remove them off of the games, and dump them into a whole bunch of fucking corporate bullshit, and stuff like that. It take, there's a reason. You know how the Xbox dudes used to say, "Oh, but Jim Ryan's not a gamer. He's not a gamer." It's like, yeah, that's a good fucking thing. He's busy in the boardrooms, fucking spending money buying games. He don't have time to fucking.
Thing is, Jim Ryan is not a gamer, but he knows what the gamers want.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean, I don't want to fall. I don't want to fall in that trap. It's like, oh, we want this, not a gamer, person in charge, but do that not a gamer person know what gamers want. You know what I mean? Yep. So you definitely have to have some gaming background to know what we want. But Jim Ryan, he did a great job, to be honest with you. Yeah. He leaving on a high note, so I'll do the same shit. If I'm doing 30 years, I'm leaving on a high note.
Yep. And keep in mind, like I say, all throughout PlayStation history, those executives never lasted longer than like 4 to 5 years. That's just what it was. They, most of them generally last a generation or in between the generation, and they make sure everything's successful, and then they leave. Even with the PS3 era, they still left on a high note, right? They still left with your Uncharted's and your The Last of Us and stuff like that, and that set up PS4 to be launched on a high note. It's unlike Xbox, where they had the Xbox One X that kind of ended. People wait for games. They ended on, and then they started the next generation waiting for games. So. Yeah, the executives should be executives, and your developers and gamers should be developing and gaming. That's just what it is. Shout out to Yoshida. I know a lot of people putting him out there. Well, he should be there. It's like, no, he shouldn't, man. For one, Yoshida up there in age, he don't want to fucking do that travel. That's why he ended up taking the position that he took, dealing with the indies. Right? He want to do things on his own time. He has things that he's passionate about. He want to do within the company. Nobody wants to fucking fly from Tokyo to the UK, and from the UK, over to California, and from California back. That's crazy, man.
Okay. Hold on. I'm trying to see. There's none. This. I think this is all YouTube, because I went to see about the chat thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They messaged me on Twitter and told me about it. That's why I decided to bring it up to you and let you know about the whole chat thing.
Yeah. So, all right. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This Xbox always fucking up. All right. So, so I think we kind of hit this on, but let's just follow through. So, one of the question goes, will PS5 Pro succeed where PS4 Pro failed? Now, let's talk about the ones who own the Pro. I know JW owned the Pro.
Yep.
PS4. J Bar, you owned the PS4 Pro. Extreme, you owned the Pro. On PS4 Pro. Judge, did you own the PS4 Pro?
Bought it day one.
You bought it day one. All right, so I'm the only one that was smart and didn't get that dog shit. All right, got it. So now
I got it for free.
Also so play. You got it for free. No, I'm asking you guys. We'll start with J Dub. All right. Yeah. The PS4 Pro. Got it. Mm-hmm. Do you feel Sony, and I ain't talking about financial success, just the idea of having a mid-gen refresh. Do you feel PS4 Pro hit the mark, or do you think Sony could have done better? And I know you could always do better, but I mean, like, reasonably, do you think like, no, Sony did exactly what they needed to do, or like, they kind of, what's your opinion on how they did the PS4 Pro?
So my take is what did they sell it on? Right, it was a console that they created because 4K became the standard adoption, and they wanted to make sure they had a console that could take advantage of all of these new this new booming technology that became more adopted in the households. Of course, you got to remember, Sony is a consumer electronic company. What do? They make fucking 4K TVs and 8K TVs, and this is what they do. They want to sell more of those products. That leads you over to the PlayStation, right? So they want to make a product that can showcase the 4K. They wanted to, they had a VR headset out. They wanted to showcase a system that would be able to make your VR games run better and look better and play better and stuff. So it wasn't a next generation boost, right? Like I think a lot of people have unreal expectations of what should be delivered. If you ask everybody, all these mid-gen refreshers should all be 4090s and shit like that, but that's not reality. The fact of the matter is they delivered a modest boost in performance that could support 4K, that could also support your VR for $399, right? It's kind of unheard of given that price. It was the same price as the PS4 launched. So it was like no harm, no foul, right? It didn't cost you more. It cost you the same as what you would have bought a PS4, right? At launch. So I get why some people may have been underwhelmed, but I don't think that was the PS4 lacking. I think that was the fact that Sony's first party developers are so good that they'll make a game that looks good and run good on PS4 Pro, but they make the game and optimize it so well for the base model where you don't feel like you got gypped. It's not like you're playing on a they're not making it like a Switch version of a game and making it be like, man, I need a PS4 Pro because this shit is dog shit now. No, the PS4 still was a great console given the price and the performance that it gave you. And when you played God of War 2018 on it, it looked great. And when you played it on the Pro, it looked just even much better, right? And so I think it's all about the gamer's reality and their perspective of where they're coming from. I think they delivered on my PS4 Pro. Once I went to my Pro, there was no way in the hell I could go back. I own the Metal Gear Solid PS4 Pro. The Phantom what is it? 5 Metal Gear Solid, the Phantom Pain, right? I own that custom system. Brand new, still in the box, still there, right? So I took it out of the box and I wanted to do the updates. I just wanted to update it and slide it back in the box. I did update. Man, that fucking shit was like, oh my god, this shit is slow as fuck. Let me put this shit back in the box. I'm gonna jump back on my Pro. That is what a difference was to me. And so that's my take on it. I think they nailed it. I think they're going to do even more so this generation with the PS5 Pro, because the standard is kind of a little bit lower, right? Really, they've already kind of nailed the 4K thing with the checkerboarding, so they kind of got that out the way. All their first party games 60 frames already. Now all they have to do is just boost the performance a little bit to make sure that the frames are steady and not really dropping in some of the performance mode, and just make the shit 4K. And then additional ray tracing effects and stuff if they decide to do that. After that, that's it. Their job's done. I don't think it should be a next generation leap, right? They're not gonna make it RDNA 10 or some shit that's gonna take it out of the realm of what the expectation is, because that begins to cut into your base model. Now people start to see the flaws in your base model. Now they just want the Pro, but they're not willing to spend the price, the additional price of the Pro. So
yo, J-Dub,
yes, sir.
You my man's. I love PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy the PS4 Pro, but it was definitely underwhelming. It didn't deliver on its intent. The intent was to keep people within the ecosystem and not go to PC when it first. That was the approach for the Pro, and it did the opposite.
I thought that was the PS5. I thought that was the PS5.
No, Andrew House when the PS5 when the PS4 Pro said the reason why this was created was so it can keep people within the PlayStation ecosystem and not transition over to PC. That's still a quote that you can look up
right now. Saying that shit. That's stupid as fuck.
But I feel like they didn't deliver on the Pro, because we got a resolution bump, but there was no frame rate. There was no better frame rates. It was very rare a game would have better frame rate. The thing is, there was no visual upgrade. It was just resolution, so it was it's a sharper image. The only thing I could say the Pro really was a big benefit is if you had a PSVR 1. doing it on the base console to the Pro, you saw a big improvement with those games as far as how it look and how clear the games look. But overall, I like the Pro, but I felt like it is underwhelming because even the first party developers, all they really did was, this game 1080p, this game is going to be 1440p or 4K checkerboarding, but nothing really as far as visual enhancements or anything like that. Like we're seeing with like a PS4 version compared to a PS5 version. You know what I mean? We see visual enhancements, but I know it's a mid-gen refresh, but if the specs are true for what the PS5 Pro is, it is definitely going to look like a bigger leap up, and I think they will actually hit their goal as far as what they intend to deliver with this refresh of the PS5 Pro. But the 4, it didn't deliver, in my personal opinion.
All right. Hey, Judge, we'll go with you since you bought it day one. What's your opinion on the Pro, on the PS4 Pro?
I'm gonna lean towards more Jay Barry's stance, except for the fact that I won't say that Sony underwhelmed. That's I'm gonna give a more nuanced answer. So I agree with what Jay Barry said. I think in J Dub, number one, the PS4 Pro, was to take advantage of 4K televisions, and specifically because I also bought the PS4, the PSVR 1 around that same week or 2 weeks later, because they came out really close to each other, and there was a big difference between playing VR on regular PlayStation 4 versus PS4 Pro. So and to y'all points, I do agree with this was not a next generation system. This is a mid-gen refresh. So if it was supposed to come out and give me better, I'm gonna say one thing it did consistently, that it gave me better resolution. Okay, it met that, but as far as the frame rates, it didn't really make that. In certain games it may have, it made it more unlocked, but that wasn't all games. So from Sony's perspective, I think they did an adequate job with it, and that may be a little bit harsh. But I certainly wouldn't say they did anything stellar or out of the park. I say adequate as far as like C level, like a 75 to anywhere between 70 and 75. I think where it did badly, and this is not Sony's fault because Sony doesn't control the third parties, and specifically with the third parties. The third parties, I think it was during that generation, me personally, that's when I realized that, hey man, it don't matter what your specs are, for a particular system. Third parties will always go towards the lowest or common denominator, and if that means that they're not going to take advantage of these new technologies. Like, again, somebody said this earlier, I forget who said it, as far as with the rapid pack math. I remember hearing that term specifically with the PlayStation 4 Pro, as far as, if it uses, I'm not even going to go into
FF16 and
FF16 and all, but I'm not even going to go into that. And it was only one game that used it, and I think it was what was it called? It was the Surge. I think it was the first Surge.
Yeah.
So it was that. To my second point, and P-Rock, I know you said price, try to stay away from price, and I'm just paraphrasing, but it's kind of hard to not stay away from price. And two sectors that I also think kind of, Sony did the best what they could with PlayStation 4 Pro was, number one, the ghost of PlayStation 3 costing $600. Like, I don't care what happens from now until the end of the world, or Sony doesn't exist no longer as a company, or PlayStation doesn't exist as a brand any longer. The ghost of PlayStation 3 price point will always haunt them, and I think they always kept that in check, or always keep that in mind. And again, if the PlayStation 5 Pro costs too much, or at least not cost too much, excuse me, if the PlayStation 5, let's just say, I think that will play a part with them. And then the second part, or the second issue, is also, hey, when the original PlayStation 4 came out back in 2013, well, that was right after the global recession, so they had to, and also Sony also lost a lot of money because of the PlayStation 3, so they did the best that they could as far as coming up with the specs or making it a little bit cheaper with the original PlayStation 4. So I say all of that to say that the expectations between PlayStation 4 Pro was different between what us as consumers, well, not me, certain consumers expected versus what Sony could do. And because I even heard arguments of saying, well, the specifications of the PlayStation 4 Pro was exact what should have is what Sony should have originally came out with back in 2013. It was like, well, wait a minute. If Sony would have came out with these specifications back in 2013, the PlayStation 4 wouldn't have cost $400. It'd probably been closer to coincidentally probably $600, $700. So I really think that depending on who you ask, at most I think it was Sony as a first party, they did adequately, but as far as with third party support, nah, man, it was underwhelming from there. So it's PlayStation 4 Pro. It was a mixed bag, and I really like my PlayStation 4 Pro, but to me the results were mixed. It was really on a case by case basis.
Before I move on to Extreme, I just want to address your $600 point. While I get the point with the whole $600 caution of learning, of ever selling another $600 console, I think this will be different because the Pro is not the mainstream console. The difference between that and the PS3 was the mainstream console. It was the console that had to build the fan base, to build, that market share, to gain market share. But the problem was Sony sold a $600 PS3, not because the PS3 was like this big, most powerful stuff. It was because it was packed with Blu-ray. And it was something that most people wasn't ready for because they didn't have HD TVs to watch the movies on. So Sony sold a product, and a good portion of it was because of a feature most people weren't prepared to have or to use because they didn't have the TV to watch. People were still mostly on DVDs, right? It wasn't the same when PlayStation put DVDs in the PS2. DVDs worked on the TV. Everybody already had the TV. Everybody didn't have the TV to watch movies yet, right? The PlayStation 3 and the 360 both was capable to play on HD TV and the 4080i, 4080p. Majority of everyone have 4080p TV. So if you're buying a $600 console, people are going to ask, why am I paying $600? Well, it should be overwhelming games, the number one reason. But the problem is PS3 didn't have that either. It was Xbox 360 that had the bangers. Gears of War launched the same month as the PS3. There was no game that launched on the PS3 that could compete with Gears of War, let alone what Microsoft already developed, throughout its first year advantage and stuff like that. And then a year later, they dropped Halo 3. PlayStation dropped Uncharted 1 with no multiplayer. So people are like, what the fuck am I paying $600 for? That's the question, right? So at that point, most people weren't willing to spend $600 on the PS3 because it wasn't really about the Blu-ray player. The games wasn't really there. And you had another alternate option to choose that you didn't have to spend $600, which was the Xbox 360. But in this case with the PS5 Pro, if the $600 price point is too high, it won't be as impactful because you have the alternate option of a PS5, which is the $399, all digital, or the 500 or maybe 450 disc-based version. You know what I'm saying? So you're not stuck on buying a $600 console. But the people are going to ask, why is this console $600? And it's not because it's going to be based on movies or Blu-ray disc or anything like that. This is why I say it's important. Sony's going to have to pick an audience. There's no in-between. You're either going to go for the conscious-minded gamer, to which you're going to fail automatically because you're not going to beat your base PS5 Pro. The price-conscious gamer is going to go after that all-digital. $399, easy peasy. You can't beat that, right? Mm-hmm. But if you still sell at $499, people are going to question, did you really do enough? Do I even bother? Why am I going to spend the money? Pretty much, and this is why I asked you guys on your opinion about the PS4 Pro, because if they repeat that, people are going to be like, this is not enough for me to even care. I think they'll be more successful with the $600 price point, mainly because, one, you're not forced. Two, the $600 price point actually goes towards technology for gaming. The $600 price point on the PlayStation 3 wasn't for gaming. It was really two things: the cell processor Trojan horse and Blu-ray. which was two unnecessary things really for that generation of gaming. When you look at it, when you look back at it, right? Even to this day, PlayStation is still haunted by that sole processor because they're not able to get all those PS3 titles natively on PS Plus, which would have been like, yo, Jay Barry, I know you love PS Plus, right? The premium, right?
Big facts, big fact.
Yeah. Imagine if all those PS3 games were native on that service. How much better would that service be? All those games, native. On that premium service, that shit will blow out the box. I think more people will be even on that service with native PS3 titles. You know, that was all there back then, right? So to this day, that cell processor still haunts PlayStation. So I don't think there's going to be any there's going to be fanboy backlash, absolutely. But if Sony creates a powerful hardware, right, that spans beyond just resolutions, better performance, better effects, better shadows, all that bells and whistle stuff. And then, of course, introducing the pisser technology, because I think that's a key part, right? Sony's introducing new technology, right, this generation, instead of waiting until next generation. And to me, I'll touch more on that. But I think that's where... So I understand your $600 thing, but I don't think the PS5 Pro will be stuck on that, because you don't have to buy the Pro in order to enjoy PlayStation. And any money that thing costs is for gaming, not because of something else outside of gaming that people really can't take advantage of. So if that console's $600, we should see like, oh, I see why that thing is $600. And I think people will understand that. Extreme, your thoughts. You got your Pro for free.
Yep.
Your thoughts.
Exactly. So the thing is, I feel that the PlayStation 4 Pro obviously did what it was designed to do, right? Be a moderate boost, you know. To me, a true moderate boost at a certain price point. And for me, then, it achieved that, but that's not what I'm looking for. If I want an upgrade, I say fuck the price point, okay? Because I already have the base model available to me. I say give me something that is a noticeable step forward. And that was the thing for me. When I played the PlayStation 4 Pro, it felt like, oh, okay, this is nice. But it didn't feel like, wow, this is a noticeable step forward, okay? And again, I'm not saying that it should be stepped all the way into the next generation. I'm not asking the PlayStation 4 Pro to have the SSD or the PS5, but it should have been a better version of a product. So for me, when the PlayStation 4 Pro was announced, I didn't care. If I hadn't won it in that competition, I would never have purchased it because you didn't do enough of a step. You know, it was an inch forward rather than a mile forward. So what I would like with the PlayStation 5 Pro is I want you to actually say, you know what, let's actually design this for the people that are looking for performance and they are willing to pay the price. Because my comparison to this is, take a look at the 40 cards. You know, let's take some cards out of the way. So let's say the 4060 is your entry into the generation for NVIDIA. And then you have the 4080. And the gap between that is vast, you know? Like, if you already start at the 4060, there's really no point in you upgrading to the 4070. And I felt like that's what the PlayStation 4 Pro was. You should really just be looking for the 4080 and up. Does that make sense? Because you still have to go through the same amount of friction, right? You still have to change out your graphics card. You still have to open your case. You still have to insert the new one. Make sure that you don't static electricity shock it. You still have to do all of that friction. So why do it for just a little inch forward? No, if you're going to upgrade, when you're already in the gen, you want to upgrade in a substantial way. So that's exactly what I'm thinking. When you take a look at the PlayStation 5 Pro, I think it will be a failure to me if it just represents a marginal improvement. I want it to be a true improvement so that when a game is performing, I do not have to think, wait, am I getting my money's worth out of this? Like, am I actually experiencing the thing that I paid for? So those are my points.
Here's the thing, Aaron. When it comes to the first party games, you're gonna feel like you're getting your money. But when it comes to third party games, it's gonna be a lot of games you don't feel like you're getting. That's just what it is.
No, but the thing is, I don't mind that. But the point, but okay. Again, my point is, if you're
as long as you're okay with knowing that.
If you already have the 4060, don't upgrade to the 4070. Or if you have the 4070, don't get the 4070 Ti. Do you get what I mean? Like, push up further, because there's really no point of going through all of the friction of buying a new card, maybe selling your old one, maybe doing this, giving it your little brother, whatever it is, just to have like, oh, now I've got a TI at the back of it. And I felt like the PlayStation 4 Pro was at the PlayStation 4 Ti, where it's like, it's nice that you have it, and if you get it for free like me, great, right? No one's going to complain about that.
Yeah.
But if you're going to buy it, just for the TI moniker at the end of it, it really doesn't mean much. So again, if you're at the 4060, don't get a 4060 Ti, don't even get a 4070, just start looking at the 4080 and higher than that. If you can go for 4090, great, because then you are at least going to feel like, yes, I've got something that is a lot better than what I was before. So those are my thoughts on it.
Well, until you run into games like Dragon's Dogma, right? That'll make you, even if you have a 4090, it'll still.
But the thing is, I'm not asking for Sony to compensate for third party. I'm just saying that in their product, I want to see a substantial difference.
I'll say this though, right? Even with third party, right? If you provide a decent enough hardware level, I think even with third party, you'll notice it, right? Like if third party builds a game on the PS5, right? And now they got the PS5 Pro, right? And it has a decent amount of leap, right? And what I mean by leap is not next generation leap, but let's say, for example, what is it?
They said a 40 to 50% increase. That's what they said.
Yeah. So let's say like Final Fantasy 16, right? I mean Final Fantasy Rebirth, right? In performance mode, it's like 1080p 60, right? That's what Square Enix able to do. Now, if they move it up to PlayStation 5 Pro, 1440p with that pisser to 4K, that's a substantial leap, compared to the original performance mode, right? To go from 1080p to 1440p and then that pisser bullshit where it gets up to 4K, you know what I'm saying? Maybe a little bit more shadow effects and stuff like that. That I guarantee that will be a completely different looking, better performing game and stuff like that, right? But I think at that point, Sony has to be like, all right, because at the end of the day, Sony, if they creating a Pro, they have to consider, granted, third party's going to do what they're going to do, but how can we make it easier for third party to truly, get the capability and improve their games, right? Like, for example, if they make it so easy that if third party don't take advantage of it, it's simply because they're lazy as fuck. Like, the shit's almost automatic, like how we present it. Like, you would be crazy not to take advantage. Like, you'll actually put in more work not to take advantage than actually just doing what you got to do. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that Sony's part of the job is, when they're creating this Pro, also make it the SDKs and the tools easy and compatible, that is easy for third party to take advantage and get those performance measures up easily. Where third party could be like, oh man, this is not too bad. Yeah, we could work with this. Yeah, we could get ray tracing in. Yeah, we could do this pisser. Man, this pisser technology is great. We get this 4K like quality with ray tracing 60. Yeah, boom. Got it. Not a lot of work, not a lot of effort, not too crazy. Very compatible. You understand what I'm saying? Like in a way, PC is, right? You got a 4090, the games will boost up. Now, of course, there's the few select games that are unoptimized, but that's more of the outliers rather than the norm. If the majority of the games, from third party get these performance boosts, get better graphics, better frame rates, some of them be like, oh shit, we can actually use ray tracing now, right? Because PS5 does ray tracing, but some developers be like, this is not going to work, so we just avoid it. But now they be like, hold on, the PS5 Pro, yeah, we can add this shit. And it's not that much work as we thought it would be. Yeah, we're just going to add it. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's Sony's job to make that system as compatible as possible, or as efficient as possible.
You got to think about it. Developers, if you're a third party developer, you got to develop for PlayStation and Xbox and PC.
You might not have the time, right?
The least coming to nominate is the Series S, and then you got the fucking PS5 Pro that comes in there. I'm just saying, a lot of developers lazy. They are lazy. Their goal is to maximize. Well, I mean,
it's so much lazy. It's. Well, I know we use the term lazy, but there's only so much you can do in a given time. When you have to release a game by a certain deadline. When you got when you already have multiple configurations on PC, then Xbox dumbass wants to release 2 different specs. Yeah. Now you got the PlayStation 5 and now the Pro. That's a lot of shit, right? So at a certain point, the first party platform holder, like let's say PlayStation in this case, Sony, if they're releasing a Pro, well, it's on you to make it easy for them, so that way they could be like, all right, we can work with this, cool. Yeah. But if it's challenging, it's difficult, they can be like, fuck that. We ain't got time for this shit. We ain't got the time or the money to be playing with this bullshit, right? So I can understand that.
They finally gonna use that machine learning with Pisser.
I'm hoping that Pisser, it's and I know I've seen already some conversations on Twitter on why Sony wasting their time on Pisser. And I think it's because a lot of gamers already moved on from first party, focusing on their console. And most of these guys are Xbox guys, right? They forgot that that's literally Sony's job, or any first-party provider's job, right? You don't want to just rely on third-party to create these solutions for your box. You want to create your own custom solution that maximizes your box, so it gives you the best results, right? Sure, AMD has FSR, right? But that's a general solution that's for AMD products across the board, not just console but PC. Hell, it even works on NVIDIA cards.
Yeah.
Sony's like, we don't want that generic solution. We want something that's tailored, custom to our console, that actually brings out the very best, because it's still Sony's console. They are responsible for that console. They're responsible to create the best custom solutions, the best tool sets, the best answers for their own product, not anybody else. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand why they're trying to come out with the Pisser. Now, since we're on the topic, the one thing I will say that there's one concept, and I don't think it's being talked about because I don't think it's being brought up, but I'm just wondering, this is just something in my head. How do you feel about mid-gen refresh is doing, besides just more powerful hardware, but it's also a venue to introduce new technology without leaving the industry behind? Because the one thing I will say this, the one thing that absolutely does need to change, and I'm going to say this, I know a lot of people may not like this opinion, but I don't think generations should be defined by a defined set of years anymore. Meaning 8 years to a gen like we traditionally do. Because what I think is happening, and this I'm trying to do research on this, but what I think is happening is every time you start a new generation with new consoles and new hardware, I think only a certain part of the industry moves on and is ready for that. And those are the bigger publishers, the people who have the money. While the rest of the industry that are smaller developers, smaller publishers, right? They don't have the money and the manpower to adapt that quickly. So take, for example, Team Ninja, right? Team Ninja can't keep up with a PlayStation that does this, right? So by the time they finally do make a game that might look good or might be up to par, it doesn't matter because we're already in next gen. So their game looks next gen by the time they come up, right? So you got the majority of industry or good portion of industry that by the time they finally got this system locked down and they're like, yeah, look, we got great graphics. Well, we already moved on. And EA, Ubisoft, Sony first party, they showed us these incredible looking games that now the rest of the industry looks like what the fuck is this? But they're showing their best work because they finally caught up. What I would like mid-gen refresh to do is provide the latest technology, but not leave the industry behind. For example, this Pisser. I like the idea of Sony introducing the Pisser now in the PS5 gen, and not hold on or introduce it in the PS6 gen when only the select few would have taken advantage of it. Does that make sense? So now you're introducing new technology that pushes console gaming forward, but everybody is still in the PS5 gen. In my opinion, generations should be defined as, hey, when is the industry, or at least the majority of industry, is ready to move? They mastered what we got. They worked on their craft. They got it. And everybody, as in the industry, is ready to move on to the next best thing. We already introduced the Pisser technology, so as soon as the PlayStation 6 launches, everybody's used to it. Because I think the benefit of that is the more you have the industry with you day one, the more games you see. I think one of the reasons why it felt like we're not seeing a lot of games is because the majority of the industry wasn't really ready for these new consoles. Only the select few that has the money and the teams and the resources to produce games. But the majority didn't. They're still trying to catch up. And now in 2024, 2025, they're finally catching up. We're starting to see more games. We're like, yeah, now we're starting to see games. But if we keep it to the same time schedule, we're going to get a new console in 2028, 2027. Right? And these guys are finally making games for the first time, and we're about to leave them again. So the cycle happens all over again. We start a new gen, hardly anyone's there. Majority of the industry is still working on PS5, so now we'll just port it to PS6, and now everybody's pissed off because it's a cross-gen game. And it's just an animosity that everybody's just happening. I think we need to stop this defining gens by a time cycle and look at it from the industry cycle of how deep and how well versed is the industry and how ready are they on to support new platforms. Because if they're not ready, then we shouldn't move on. They need to work on stabilize themselves, right? And then when the next gen begins, it's because the majority of industry can support the next gen, and we start getting games within the first 2 years. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I feel like at the same time, none of these companies are incentivized to do what you just said. Like none of them are incentivized to really like put their work in and work on the graphics and the animation and the technical support, getting those FPS right. Take a look at something like Dragon's Dogma, right? Like everybody knows that is a poorly optimized game, but Capcom is going to release it a year before it probably should be, because there's no incentive in them optimizing it further. They can make the money now, and then they can give patches down the road. So I feel like if you were to quote unquote wait for the industry to be ready for the next generation, we might end up with 15-year generations because they would just drag their heels, and they would just go as slowly as possible. Because unfortunately, the artists and the technicians and the engineers that want to push the industry forward in every studio, they are not the ones that ultimately get to make those decisions. So it's almost like you have to move regardless.
What do you think, Judge? You say you disagreed also.
Yeah, I disagree. Yeah. Just 2 points. Number one, to M's point, as far as being incentivized to do something like that, I agree. Just because of the fact that unfortunately everything comes down to money. If your install base or the majority, not even your install base, if the majority of the customers are still on the last generation, like for example between PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, well, do I want to give up potentially give up 100 million? Not to say potentially do I want to give up 120 million players, to go into a new install base, whereas whereas I'm losing money. And then secondly, even with the cost, the developmental costs as far as making games, it costs a lot. I mean, to your point, P Rock, the only companies that can really absorb that cost are the more established or bigger developers. Now, I did find it really interesting that you brought up Team Ninja, and I just want to make sure I'm not thinking of Ninja Theory. Team Ninja is Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive developers, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so I found that really interesting, and the reason why, they may not be able to keep up now, which is crazy. But when I think of outside of the Ninja Gaiden series, back on the original Nintendo, back on the original Nintendo, Team Ninja, they actually pushed graphics, specifically during the Gen 6 with the Dreamcast of Dead or Alive 2. Because I thought Dead or Alive 2 on Dreamcast looked better than almost any game, at least during that time. Than any game at that point in time. I didn't think nothing was touching that graphically. And then even on during Gen 7, Gen 6 with the Dreamcast, and then also with Dead or Alive 3 on the original Xbox, that looked graphically good. And even during the Xbox 360 era, like one of the first launch games on the Xbox 360 was Dead or Alive 4. So at one point they were on the forefront of pushing next generation graphics. So as far as what they're doing now, and as far as they behind the curve, I would they're not new. They've been around. Well, they may not have been called Team Ninja. It was called Tecmo back in Ninja Gaiden. But at one point in time, it's like I would ask the question specifically on them: what is keeping them? Why are they behind the curve now?
But that's my point.
And it could be anything.
No, it's money. Because when you look at those developers now, right? When you look back the PS1, PS2, PS3 era, there was a lot more developers that were big graphical powerhouses. Even Square, in my opinion, listen, I don't consider Square Enix a powerhouse technical publisher anymore. They're not. They're not. They're not. They don't have the money for that no more. You know what I'm saying? And that's a good point. But back then, Square Enix was a powerhouse, especially when they were Squaresoft. Namco was a big graphic powerhouse. Capcom, all these studios and all these developers, when they were third party, I mean, obviously the third party, they were powerhouse graphical, top of the line AAA. But as technology got pushed further and got more expensive and the budgets got higher, they couldn't keep up. So the top dogs became the middle dogs. Only the select few kept pushing. And if you notice, the ones that kept pushing are the biggest publishers in industries. The Activisions, the EAs, the Rockstars.
Yeah.
To me, every gen that we kept getting, someone loses that big. Like, you got the S rank, you got the A rank, you got the B rank. We were full of S rank developers during the PS1 gen. They was like all over the place. Lots of top players. Like you said, even Namco, you know, with Tekken back then, graphics looked great. Everybody was making great graphical masterpieces. But as technology kept pushing forward, the S rank devs now became A rank devs. And then all of a sudden, the A rank devs are now B rank devs. They're losing their ranking because they can't keep up because they don't have the money. They're not 7, 10, 12, 15 billion, $20 billion publishers. They're not. They don't make that much money with their games, right? At the time, Tekken was one of the biggest games in money revenue. Now, it don't make shit. I'm not saying that it's a bad game, but the revenue Tekken makes today is not the same when it was Tekken 1 and 2 on PS1 and developing those games, right? So what I'm saying is these guys are being left behind in being S rank, A rank tier devs to like B rank tier devs. And I'm not talking about quality. I'm talking about being able to push those graphics, being able to be like, yo, these are one of the top devs in graphical looking games back then. You understand what I'm saying? We're losing them. We're getting more and more developers that can't keep up. And the ones who can are the ones we hate, which is Ubisoft, EA, Rockstar. They do shit once every 9 years. So, you know what I'm saying? And Sony's first party. I mean, when you think about it, look how this gen first started out, right? Really, it was Insomniac that held this motherfucking gen down. Sure, there's a lot of good games, whatever, but let's make no mistake. Insomniac really carried PlayStation this gen. They came in banging and they came in whatever. Majority of PlayStation games are cross-gen games, which is fine. I'm not saying that. But they're cross-gen for a reason. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So the question is this. If we put an arbitrary number saying, hey, 2027, come hell or high water, we're starting next gen, what's the point of saying, yep, PlayStation 6 is here, and the only people saying, yep, EA, are you good? Yep. Hey, Ubisoft, you good? Yep, we got another Assassin's Creed. And Madden, we got you, dog. Another Mad Assassin's Creed. Hey, Take-Two, what you doing? Oh, we're giving you a remaster, dog. All right. Hey, Capcom. Yeah. We'll maybe wait 2-3 more years. Namco. We can give you an update. You know. Okay. Sega. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If you forgot, we got out of console war for a reason. We couldn't even keep up with our own shit. We're gonna keep up with yours. Yeah. We'll see you. You'll get a new Sonic in 5 years. We're like, then fuck. Who's gonna come with us?
I'm gonna get off, but I'm just gonna say one more thing before I go. Sorry to leave early. Listen, I just think that the in between is, I think that this generation should be longer. I think instead of being 8 years, it should be 10 years. Mm-hmm. I think that gives everybody, I guess, the fair balance, because like I still believe that unless you actually just move forward without them, this industry isn't catching up. Like, basically, if you're in the PS5 generation, I think they're always going to stay in the PS4 level of graphics and technical ability. Then when you get to PS6, they're finally going to have caught up to PS5. But if you didn't get to PS6, they would just stay where they're comfortable. Especially because, as the judge said, if they can still build games that are going to be released on the PS4 and address that market, they are always going to be the ones to do it. So I think, though, that you're right. By the time, because these dev cycles have now gone through 3, 4, 5 years, sometimes 7 years, just to get a game out, it makes sense to stretch the generation, especially because with the PS5, we are a lot more comfortable from a technical perspective, right? Like, nobody's really looking at the PS5 and going like, oh, thank God, when 2028 is going to come out, I can get rid of this thing. Like, not in the way that they were doing for the PS4. So if we can push it to 2030, I think that for me would work quite well, because it will also give the PS5 Pro its time in the sun. Because whoever doesn't, like, maybe you get to 2027, you think to yourself, man, I've had this console for 7 goddamn years. Like, I really want more performance out of it. You'll be like, oh yeah, they released a PS5 Pro, and then you'll be able to upgrade to that. And then you will still have 3 years of enjoying that console before Sony comes up to you and be like, hey, can you give us some money again? So I think 10 years.
Can you spare some change?
yeah, please, sir, please. We have a new shiny toy. I think 10 years will be a nice compromise, and it will give everybody a shot. Because, listen, as much as I will go to bat for Naughty Dog, we might accidentally sneeze and they just keep this whole generation. Like, they just
they're like, you know what? Our next game is going to be on PS6. Like,
exactly. We might sneeze and they just don't show up. Yeah. So I think 10 years will give everybody the chance to actually join this movement. And then by the time that it's done, people that bought it on day one, the PS5 on day one, whether they upgrade to the Pro or not, they will feel like they got their values worth out of that. Yeah. Yes, it will fall behind PC by a tremendous amount, but it was never really meant to catch up with PC or keep up with PC. So we already know that.
And you hit the nail right on the head with that. As far as, let's just say, if the console generation was 10 years, 2 things to that. Number one, as far as with that point with the PC, how many, because unfortunately, even though they're not, consoles are always compared to, to PCs, and normally except for Gen 8, when a new console when a new console generation comes out, except for Gen 8, it normally pushes gaming forward. But how many GPU generations would happen in 10 years? Maybe 3. I'm just throwing it out there, but yeah, okay, 3 or 4, okay. Yeah. And then secondly, during Gen 7, during the 360 and PS3 generation, I specifically remember, publications and gamer journalists complaining that generation was too long because of the fact that that generation was only 7 years. It was like, wait a minute. I mean, and it was during that generation that's when development costs started to skyrocket because it just costs more to make games. But my point is, hey, if we try to find this happy medium, which I'm assuming that's what you're saying is 10 years, it's like, well, if this generation are we making this? Is the gaming generation too long? And I do think that 7 to 8 years. I do think, honestly, that is a good medium to have. And then B, it's like, again, to my earlier point and to also Porter Rock's point, it just comes down to profitability. I think the reason why a lot of developers can't keep up with with new generations is because of the fact that the profit margins just aren't the same. Whereas during the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 era, it was much lesser, and you have more game developers because you can honestly just start from your garage. It was much cheaper. That's a better word. It was much cheaper to be able to develop a game than it is now. Whereas, hey, if it costs $100 million to develop a game, then hey, the only people that can afford that would be your bigger developers. So I think all of that to say is that I don't think stretching out the console generation is really the answer.
Let me ask you this. Look at it this way. Let's say 2028 is the end of PlayStation 5, right? And they launch PlayStation 6. Right now it's 2024, and we only got one game from one game. We got nothing really from Naughty Dog other than remasters. So let's look at that. We got nothing yet, technically, from a new game for PS5. Remember, you said we buy consoles for new games. You got no new games from Naughty Dog. We're 4 years deep. There's only 4 years left, brother. We could technically end end up with only one new Naughty Dog for 8 years of gaming. Santa Monica only made one game, and it's a cross-gen. Guerrilla, one game, and it's a cross-gen. Think about the numbers. So do you think we could keep going 8 years of console game with 1 or 2 games at most from developers? 1 or 2 games every generation of console gaming from developers. That's why I think the industry can't keep up, because the third party, they need to, like, they can't go, okay, PlayStation made one game, they made a console, the third party makes one game, and now PlayStation's ready to move on, and the developer's like, hold the fuck up, I need to make 4 or 5 games. And you're like, you're already moving on? Like, bro, I can't, like, Sony could do it because they got multiple revenue streams. They got money transactions, they got 30% cut for third party, they got subscription service. But if I'm a third-party developer, all I got is game sales. That means I make my money by making games and selling it on your console. And now you already move on. And this is the one thing that that Jim Wright kind of alluded to. This is the one thing about our hobby that we do to ourselves that other hobbies don't. When we move on to the next generation, the past generation is done. You even said it yourself. You're not buying a PlayStation 6 to talk about PlayStation 5. That means if I still, as a developer, need to make a PlayStation 5 game, you're not going to buy my game. I only made one game on the PlayStation 5, and now you're not going to buy my next one? Because of this arbitrary movement? How am I supposed to be successful under this condition? As a developer.
Yeah, especially because you have
How
to
am I
train
supposed
your
to be
developers,
successful?
you
You just admitted. You just
yeah.
admitted you're not going to buy my game because you all about the PS6. So now my PS5 games are trash because of an arbitrary date, and I only had the opportunity to make one game. I don't have money to make 4, 5, 6 games in an 8-year span. I don't have that. We're not EA. We're not Ubisoft where they have 10 or 12 teams. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem. So PlayStation 6 comes out, you not checking my game no more. So now I gotta force my game to be a cross-gen game, and hopefully I get it right. Because if I get it wrong, you're gonna bash me like, oh, this developer sucks, this developer's lazy, what the fuck? And I'm like, I can't keep up with this console. Like, yo, you need somebody, like, something has to give. And this is why I'm saying every generation, we are losing more S-ranked devs, not because they're turning shitty, it's because they can't keep up with the technology. So now they go lower to the rankings. Simply because they just can't keep up.
All right, so it's funny you said that as far as with Naughty Dog, and one of the and you're right. I will agree that Naughty Dog is not. They are not. What's the word I'm looking for? For lack of a better word, they're not showing off this generation. So I agree with you. But you know what? You know, to your point, as far as what developer is in publisher is actually showing out, and they're no longer an S-rank quote unquote developer or publisher any longer. Square Enix so far already dropped 4 different games this generation.
Yeah.
Now, regardless, you know what we want to say about them, or you know, to me that's arbitrary and it's subjective as far as between Phone Stars all the way up to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and that doesn't include Final Fantasy 16, and also with what's the one that came out in 2023? Forspoken. That's 4 games right there.
Now look at those games. None of those games are technical masterpieces. In fact, everyone except for Phone Stars, I don't know about Phone Stars, but Forspoken, right, which I played, Strangers in Paradise, even this Final Fantasy, the Rebirth, they all needed updates. All of them. Like right now, I'm at the point where I'm not comfortable buying a Square Enix game day one anymore because they always have to update and fix it. Always so far this gen, which is unlike Square Enix before. Usually Square Enix is at the head of the pack in terms of graphics, technology, performance. They're the S rank. I would not put Square Enix S rank this gen. No way. Every game they released that I bought, I had to wait for patches, or after I beat it, then they come and fix it. I'm like, what the fuck? Like they really don't incentivize you buying their games day one this gen. They have not. They've done a terrible job of being that developer.
But I don't think anything. But I want to be clear. Like that's not my point. Like, because I think what oh shit. I think the medium that that I'm really trying to argue with is that okay, in order for you to be, regardless if you S rank, which I'm not really, if you're an S rank, great, that's good. I'm not going to argue against that. But if you're there's nothing wrong being a rank. That's still that's still pretty. Matter of fact, that is very good. I'm not even going to say it's pretty good. To me, that's very good. But my point that I'm making is that because is number one. I think it's really coming down to, hey, what engines are these companies using? And this is where I kind of question. Some engines are supposed to be more affordable than others, or more readily available than others. And the first two engines that come to my mind is the Unreal Engine and the Unity. As far as when it comes down to game development, which one is more affordable and better? To me, that's neither here or there for this conversation. And then secondly, but my second point. Damn, where was I going with my second point? Damn, P Rock, my fault. You know what? Damn, I can't think of my second point. I'll remember it, but I think it just really comes down to, hey, there needs to be a balance between the developmental costs and and then also being able to come out with and what game engines we're going to use. And I think the game engine here is key because of, hey, there is no reason why Square Enix is able to come out with four different games within the past within the 3-year period, whereas Naughty Dog didn't even come out with one. But I also understand that Naughty Dog, not only are they the top of the top, Insomniac may be ready to replace them, but for the time being, Naughty Dog is the top of the top. But the more advanced the engines are, the more developmental costs go. The more it just costs of development. And if you can't really afford it, that's a whole other issue. So it's like, hey, maybe we shouldn't have S rank is supposed to be the cream of the crop. Everybody can't be cream of the crop. Maybe and I don't and I think I said this before with one of your other podcasts that I stated that maybe with it wouldn't surprise me if game development take the same approach as Nintendo do, as far as, yeah, we coming out with new games, but we're not going to push the technology any longer, because it seems as though we're starting to hit that we're at that crossroads, at least from our perspective, as to, hey, do we want to continue to push graphics forward, or do we need to take a step back and say, all right, in order to to have multiple games come out in the generation, and also for it to be affordable, we need to use a more affordable game engine.
Yeah. So my thing is that what would be the point of moving on to next gen if it's primarily the companies we don't even like the games? Because all we're doing then is we're going to wait 3-4 years, complain, and then 3-4 years into the gen is when we start enjoying it. Because that's what usually happens. That's what's happening.
Right.
The next gen starts, but it doesn't really start. That's why a lot of people this gen feel like, damn, this gen feels like it hasn't started yet. Why? Because the majority of the industry wasn't ready.
Right.
Now you're starting to get the games. Now you're starting to get more people involved, right? But the gen started 4 years ago. Like, we're about this November is 4 years ago, and now people are starting to say, okay, now we're starting to get there, right? And that's the thing, right? If we keep this arbitrary timestamp, and let's say we do, let's say 8 years, let's say 2028 becomes the day for next gen, and Sony says, nope, next gen's starting. It doesn't matter, because if the third party's like, sorry, we're not ready, then what do? You bought a PlayStation 6, and everybody's still making PlayStation 5 games and put it on PlayStation 6. And all you're going to do is, in 2028, where are the games? 2029, where are the games? 2030, where are the games? 2031, where are the games? Then 2032, when the rest of the industry is finally on board, now you'll be like, oh, now I got the games. So then what was the point of 2028 then? All you did was you bought a console to complain. Where are the games? Now, of course, Sony's going to do their thing because it's their console, but they can only do so much. They don't have 50 studios. They have 20 or something. And even those guys have to stagger it out, right? We still don't have a game from Sony Bend. We still don't have a game from Sucker Punch. And it's 2024. Now, I get it. It takes a while, but think about it, bro. We haven't had a game from Sony Bend since Days Gone. And that came out in 2019.
Right.
We're almost 4 years into the PlayStation 5, and Sony's own studio still hasn't released the game.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
So you want a date to start, but it's not about the date starting. It's who's ready to make games. Because what's really going to happen is you got this nice PlayStation 6 console, and there's only the select few making games for the console, while you're primarily going to be playing cross-gen games. Because that's what's going to happen. They'll just be like, bro, you're going to have to play these PlayStation 5 games, and we'll probably spruce up a little shit to make it run better on the PlayStation 6, but make no mistake, you still playing PlayStation 5. Make no mistake. We're not ready to give you a dedicated PlayStation 6 game. What you're going to get is a better version of the PlayStation 5 game. That's what's going to happen. And I'm telling you, next gen is going to be worse. If PlayStation 6 comes out in 2028, stand the hell by, you're going to see a shit ton of cross-gen games. You're going to see a shit ton of cross-gen games. That's going to be normalized. That is absolutely going to be normalized. Because they're going to get their money's worth out of the stuff they made this gen. They're not going to just easily move on and reinitialize, refund, or not refund, but reinvest into new technology. Hell no. They're going to get their money out of the shit they created this gen, even if it means they're going to have to sell it to you on the PlayStation 6. Like it or not, you're going to get used to the cross-gen. Get used to that. And don't be surprised if it's 3 years deep into the PlayStation 6 and you're still playing PlayStation 5 games. Don't be surprised.
Oh, okay. So, all right. Now I remember my other point, but you kind of hit on it. Okay. So, I think the difference, starting with PlayStation 4 all the way up until PlayStation 5 now, and even going to PlayStation 6, is the fact that the architecture that is also being used, which is x86, it's iterative. So to me that's key. As far as with that, because when I think about the older generations as well, besides the fact that it calls slower, the reason why newer games had to come out, during the generations, because for the most part, from Nintendo to Super Nintendo, they didn't use the same, the same
PC.
It was
PC architecture.
Or the architecture was just much different. So that kind of forced it. And then to your earlier question, as far as with Capcom, not with Capcom, with Square Enix, as to you wouldn't want to buy a Square Enix game day one because they patch it. That's just not. I mean, maybe Square Enix is maybe egregious with it at this point, but very not the first ones. And I think going back to the with Gen 7, with the PlayStation 3 and 360, once these massive patches became the norm, that was it. And I think that was the detriment to gaming as a whole, because of, hey, I can now come out with a broken game, and as long as I can do day one patches, it's okay. Whereas in generations earlier, if you came out with a broken game, you were fucked, and that was to that particular developer or publisher's detriment, because of you would get hammered on it. So standards change, and that's the point that I'm trying to make. I'm trying to state that, hey, the standards that were the standard for success, back in Gen 7 or Gen 8 or back in 2019, because that's another thing I think really played a role. I think COVID really messed up things. So there's a new normal. What we thought was normal back in 2019 is no longer normal now. It's just not normal. But my point is that what is the new standard as far as for something to be successful? And with with the games, it's again, I'll go back to my earlier point. We're really coming down to a crossroads. Whereas, hey, we need to really choose what we're going to do, because of, as far as I agree to a point that, hey, if we continue to with the cost of development and how much it costs and the amount of time that it takes for a game to be developed, the norm used to be, no more than a year or two, but now it's more than 5 years, 6 years, or 7 years. Well, that's the whole entire generation, the entire console generation. Versus, hey, if I have to scale it back because I need to use a more affordable engine, those are questions that need to be asked, because at some point, hey, by the time we get to Gen 11, PlayStation, whatever Xbox is going to be called, and whatever Nintendo called, Verse system during that time, it may not even be, it may not even be profitable, and we may not even know the game, systems to be what it is. As far as we know, everything could be on a subscription, which I don't want to go too far into that, but the standard for success, as time goes on, it has to change, and I think that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, but so completely agree. But like as you mentioned, right? If games are taking 5 years to make, how does games fit in an 8-year cycle? That means it's really 1.5. You see what I'm saying? You can't make 2 games a gen. That's impossible. Because 2 games equals 10 years worth of work, right? Mm-hmm. The only people that can make multiple games in an 8-year gen are the big publishers, because they have multiple teams. They have Team A, Team B, Team C. So they, as a publisher, can release 10 games because they got 10 developers in a gen. But when you're a smaller publisher that might only have 1 developer or 2 developers, 1 or 2 games is all you got for 8 years. And that's not going to be a sustainable model unless you're able to sell 20, 30 million copies. Like CD Projekt Red. They're surviving because their games sell 20, 30 million. So they can make 1 or 2 games per gen. And when each game sells 20, 30 million a pop, they can survive. You know what I'm saying? But that's a one-off compared to, that's a one-off compared to everybody else. Rockstar, they don't give a shit. They'll make 1 game a generation. Hell, they make 1 game for 3 generations. But that game just don't stop selling, so they can survive, right? But the main thing is, I think one of the things we gamers didn't notice, the reason why some of us felt like, damn, it took a long time to really start seeing the games, is because the industry wasn't there to provide us the games. Because now they're just finally catching up. So we're always going to have this feeling the first 3 years that what the fuck is going on? Where are the games? Because the industry's not there with us. They're not there. They're not going to be there until maybe 4 or 5 years into the gen when we start seeing them catch up. Until then, only the biggest publishers will be with us day 1, year 1, year 2, year 3. And I'm telling you, most of us don't like them. Most of us are tired of Assassin's Creed. We're tired of the Far Cry. We're tired of the Call of Duty, the NBA. Like, where's the new IPs? That's the biggest one. Where are the new IPs? Right. Shit, you're not getting new IPs. That you're rarely gonna get a new IP year 1, year 2 now. New IPs are coming in year 4, year 5, because they're gonna do the safest bet the first couple of years. Or if you do get a new IP, which you can, it's gonna be a cross-gen title. It's not going to be an exclusive year 1 or year 2 when the console is just starting. No, that shit's going to be on the PS5. And then everybody's going to complain. Oh, you're holding the PS6 back by making this a PS5. This new IP. This new IP should have been a PS6 title. They're like, nah, we ain't got time for that. We still trying to capitalize on the PS5. This new IP is going to take advantage of the old. That's why Sony, GT7 was supposed to be a PS5 exclusive. That was the one game they honestly said was only PS5, and they backtrack and they converted it to a PS4 version. So even Sony had to be like, okay, this game can't be a PS5 exclusive. You see what I'm saying? So we are in a rush for next generation only to complain that we're still with PS5, whatever. So then what was the point?
I still don't think 7 to 8 years is a rush, and just 2 more things on this for me. I with the lack of new IPs, I would put I would point fingers at now that gaming is less about gaming and more about making money or more, not only about making money but making safe money. You hit the nail on the head as far as with Ubisoft with their Assassin's Creed, or with 2K with the 2K series, NBA or EA with the NFL with Madden. I mean, those are guaranteed cash cows. Same thing with FIFA. But you also brought up an interesting point, and I'm glad you brought them up, and that's exactly where I was about to go. And when you brought up CD Projekt Red, and the reason why, to me, from my point, CD Projekt Red is interesting is because of the fact that before Witcher 3 came out, because that's when I would say that's when CD Projekt Red really became a AAA developer. they were already working on Cyberpunk 2077. I remember that being being talked about back in the Xbox 360 era, Xbox 360 PS3 era. And it wasn't until they were already working on something that didn't come out until the end of Gen 8, for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. But before they became a powerhouse through Witcher 3, I would use them, to prove my point. It's like, well, wait a minute, we have this developer, and they are able to not only are they able to come out with multiple games during a console generation or during a specific console generation, but they're also able to develop new games for a next console generation as well. So it's like, well,
are you sure you want to use them as are you sure you want to use them as your evidence point?
Hey,
Cyberpunk,
but
because Cyberpunk proves my point. Cyberpunk was a cross-gen game. That's what I'm talking about. And
I know what you're talking about.
And then on top of that, it was a disaster. The only version that worked was the PC version. Right. That was the game people refunded. It was a disaster on consoles. That's exactly what I'm talking about. A cross-gen game that didn't work on the PS4. It didn't work. Sony delisted the game. They said, nah, son, take this shit off our store. No one's buying this game until you fix it. So they delisted it. They took it off the store. No one was able to buy it. That's literally the point. Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red was not ready for this gen. The only working version they had was the PC version. The console versions were broken. They were cross-gen. They weren't ready. They forced it. They forced to be ready. Even the developers told the business, because the business guy apologized. He went live on Twitter. Well, he had a video and he said, please don't blame the developers. They warned us that this wasn't ready. They were not ready. They didn't listen and they forced them to release the game. The developer says, we're not ready. We're just not ready for this. In fact, the developer was saying, we might as well just scrap the PS4 version at this point. But they couldn't, because there's no consoles to sell to on the PS5 and the Series X version. Hardly anyone, especially because that was COVID, there was hardly any on the streets. So the business side was like, we can't ignore 100 million PS4 fans. So the developer's like, the game sucks on console. Only the PC version works. This is all wrong. And they paid for it, at least at the time. Granted, it took them a while to fix it and stuff like that, but they fixed it by getting rid of the PS4 version. But that's why I said, are you sure you want to use CD Projekt Red? Because they fucked up. They fucked up bad. Across the board.
I was just making the point as using CD Projekt Red, as far as going back to your earlier question as to, hey, if a console generation is only, is 78 years, and it takes that same amount of time to create a game. I was just using CD Projekt Red as an example to say, regardless of how the way Cyberpunk 2077 came out, I was just using them as an example that at that time when they were creating it.
But my point is, they did it by still making a PS4 version. So what's the point of the PS5 if you made the PS4 version? That's the thing I'm trying to make. You see what I'm saying?
I understand your point. I see what you're saying, but the crazy part.
No, what I'm trying to say is, sure, you can have your PS6 in 2028, but you're playing PS5 games. So then what's the point? The developers are still going to give you PS5 games. Sure, they might spruce it up with better effects, but you still getting a PS5 game with better visuals, and you might be happy with that. But you're not really getting a next generation game built for the PS6. You're just getting PS5, but you're getting, you're just getting boosted resolution, boosted performance. Yeah, you're getting cross-gen type. That's the point I'm trying to say. So you're getting this nice brand new PlayStation 6 to play PS5 games. Because the industry is not ready to move on to PS6. You're not going to get PS6 games until another 3-4 years into that, except for maybe Sony, but that's because it's their console and the bigger players. But from everybody else, nah, dog, you're going to get this PS5 game, and you're going to love it. Sure, it'll look better, it'll run better, it'll have better graphics, but make no mistake, if you think I'm going to make you a PS6 exclusive in 2028, 2029, 2030, you better mark your calendar for 2037. That's when you'll see a PS6 exclusive for me.
Okay.
And I'm exaggerating with the date, but the whole point what I'm saying is we're advocating for a 2028 date, but yet we're gonna end up still be playing PS5 games. So the date, it's a moot point. Like, what did we really do? What did we really do?
They didn't do anything. So then
they didn't do anything.
I think that from my perspective, then my answer would then be as far as in order to push gaming forward, you may need to change the architecture. Instead of using x86, you may have to change it to a more custom. I don't want to say engine, but to a more custom.
This is why I'm saying I kind of like the idea of a PS5 Pro pushing gaming forward without leaving the generation behind. With the PS5, I think it's doing or potentially could do a better job because it has better hardware.
Yeah.
And with the introduction of new technology, which is the pisser, right? Because technically speaking, that is new technology you're not going to get on the PS5. It's specifically for the PS5 Pro. So they're introducing new technology to the developers, better hardware, but they're not leaving nobody behind. We are all still in the PS5 ecosystem. We're still in the PS5 gen. We're introducing better technology, more powerful hardware. The developers can slowly catch up. Be like, hey, we're making our games, but you know what? Let's dibble dabble into this pisser shit. So all right, so we're learning this pisser. Yeah, we got it. They'll release a game, whatever. Then let's say 2030, the PlayStation 6 comes out. It clearly has the pisser technology, but now everybody's like, hey, I'm familiar with this. I can make games for this. I can take advantage of the PS6. It's not a new territory for me. You didn't leave me behind. Well, I'm not that far behind. I can pretty much keep up and take advantage of this PlayStation 6 hardware because you already introduced some of the technology in the mid-gen refresh without actually leaving the place behind. Because again, the main thing is the mindset of the gamer. The PlayStation 6 comes out, the gamers are going to forget about PS5. That's just the reality. We're not trying to hear about no PS5 bullshit. Guarantee within the first year, everybody's going to complain about cross-gen. No one's going to have an issue with a PS5 Pro. No one's going to say, oh, why can't I get my PS5 Pro exclusives? Because that's not a thing. That's not the whole point of the console. So no one's going to have an issue with PS5 games. But once that PlayStation 6 comes out, I'm telling you, people are already going to tell the industry, get the fuck out of here with this PS5 bullshit. I didn't buy a PS6 to play PS5 games. Why are you still making PS5 games? Oh, great. Up-res PS5 games. Oh, great. Boosted PS5 games. That's bullshit. Where's my They're saying it now. Technically, they're saying now, where's my PS5 only exclusives? And we're 4 years in. You see what I'm saying? That's the dangerous part about our industry. We are quick to chop it's like gangrene. We'll chop that leg off real quick. Like, bro, I just stubbed my toe. Fuck you cut my foot off for? Nah, son. Nah, cut that shit, bro. Let that shit go. Like, bro, it was just a stubbed toe. And you cut my foot. Nah, we done. Move the hell on. Move that shit. I'm telling you, that happens all the time. As soon as next generation's already talked about, people are already talking about next generation, and some people already stopped playing. Like when the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X were announced, you already saw people saying, yeah, I'm chill. I'm not really playing my PS4 anymore. I'm just waiting for the new shit. Because the PS4, that's it, it's done. They're not trying to hear it. They want the new shit. It's time to move on to the new shit, right? And I think that hurts developers, right? When the developer's like, yo, check out my new game, they be like, oh, PS5 game? Are you fucking kidding me? You should have made that a PS6 games. And they're like, I can't keep up. I can't make a day one PS6 game the first year. I ain't got the bread for that. We don't got the clout. We don't have the manpower. We're not that big of a studio. We're not EA. We're not those dudes.
And then I think that, then us as gamers, or just all of us in the gaming industry, period, regardless if we're gamers or developers or publishers, then we kind of pigeonholed ourselves just because of the fact that we're not able to keep up with
and we don't give a fuck. The general consensus community don't care. That's why I think a PS5 or a mid-gen refresh could be the stopgap, where you're gonna get, if they're willing to do it, get a nice, good mid-gen refresh, good, powerful hardware, introduce new technology, so that way gamers like, oh, I'm tired of my PS5. Well, here's a PS5 Pro, and they look at it and they be like, you know what? Damn, that shit looks good. 60 frames? Yo, that's what I'm talking about. They'll buy the PS5 Pro and they'll be good with that for another 4 or 5 years. They're content because you got great hardware, great performance. They're cool with that, and they could rock with that for like another 4 years, which is more than enough time to get the developers in line, ready for the next generation. The key is, how can we get more developers ready for the next gen instead of 3, 4, 5 years deep into the gen, and now they're finally ready? Because that's 3, 4, 5 years wasted of us just complaining, talking shit, where the games, what the fuck, and we're just complain. Oh, this is the worst gen ever, blah, 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 all this shit. And the cycle continues.
Right. Then we
Let me put you this way. Look how hard gaming is to make games. PlayStation 2. By 2020, by PlayStation launch, obviously they did stagger launches, right? So I'm going to use USA. PlayStation launched October of 2020. I mean, not 2020. What the fuck am I talking about? Of 2000, right? PlayStation 2 launch October of 2000. By December of 2001, we got Twisted Metal Black, Grand Theft Auto 3, Devil May Cry, Metal Gear Solid 2, Final Fantasy 10, bro, Red Factions. You will never see another gen like that with so many big, exclusive, AAA S-tier bangers in the first year. I mean, think about what I said. Grand Theft Auto 3, Final Fantasy 10, Metal Gear Solid 2, Devil May Cry, Twisted Metal Black. Like, bro.
I understand what you're saying.
And listen, and those are exclusives. The graphics were off the hook. The performance was dope. And they did that within the first year of PlayStation 2. You won't see shit like that no more. Ever. You will never see a lineup that hard.
Well, technology don't make that leap no more either. What? And then also I said technology also, or rather, the graphical technology also don't make that leap like it did either, as far as with diminishing returns. And then also the threshold for what is considered S tier is, that standard is no longer true. I mean 24 years is a long time, for the standard to still be the same. But the point is still the same. But the standard, with the exception of Squaresoft at that time, Squaresoft with Final Fantasy X, and I would even say with Twisted Metal Black, to me, Rockstar didn't become an S tier developer until Grand Theft Auto 3.
Yeah.
So my point is, hey, going back to my earlier point, well, how much did it actually cost to actually develop these games back then?
They were cheaper. But that's my point. Exactly. The games were cheaper.
Right.
They were faster to make, and they were able to capitalize on the technology quicker and make them look good. Over time, technology got more difficult, more challenging, more complex, which means the games took longer. Now, if the technology is more complex, it takes games longer. It costs more money. And that means you have to extend the generation. That's what I'm saying. If the way you make games change, then you have to look at how can you keep the boundaries of generation the same. That has to evolve too. Like, all of it has to change. If everything changed other than this perceived, generations bounded to dates. Like, that doesn't work either. Like, how do we keep the boundaries the same when everything's getting bigger? It's like saying, yo, you got 10 kids, but you still want to live in a 1-bedroom house. Nah, bro, you can't. You can't have 10 kids in one toilet. You can't, bro. You can't. You got to move. Or you shouldn't have all those damn kids.
Right.
The more kids you have, like, yo, you can't be stuck in the same something's gonna go wrong. Something's gonna go wrong. You the boundaries or whatever. So now you have these boundaries, but within the boundaries, development got longer, development got more complex, it's taking more time, it's costing more money, but you still want to have this locked boundary of when a generation is relevant. Something's got to give. Something's got to open up. You understand? Unless we go back to, all right, we're not going to make these big, complex, graphical looking games. We're just going to make single A, double game level games, but no one's going to accept that. All the gamers are going to be like, fuck no, look what they did to Rise of Ronin. They roasted that game because of its graphics. Even though it's a good game, they roasted it. It got roasted. They're like, they'd be like, look at this PS3 looking shit. So it's like, okay, then what do people do? The only answer is you gotta open up the boundaries of what a generation actually means. That has to be opened up somehow. Now, to me, the PS5 Pro or a mid-gen refresh is the perfect answer. Because you want power, you want performance, you don't want to be stuck with the console you bought in 2020 for 9-10 years. Well, you're not.
Right.
We're going to give you the Pro, and it's going to give you great graphics. But it can't be, and you even said it yourself, it can't be like the PS4 Pro, because you said yourself it wasn't good enough. That's why I said, I think the true success of the PS5 Pro is if they side more on the mindset of the tech enthusiasts, like treat it like those that would buy an iPhone 15 Pro and not worry about the budget. Do not worry about the budget gamer. Don't worry about them. Do not even consider them at all. They got a PS5 all digital for $399. Hell, they'll probably drop it down to $350. That's your budget gaming. But make your Pro for that gamer that wants great technology, powerful hardware, really good graphics. So that way when they're tired at a certain point, because you know what, maybe at 20, maybe not this year, you know, because there's gamers be like, I don't need a Pro. But in 2026, they might be like, yo, I need something more, man. This PS5, it's not cutting it. And then the people be like, have you seen the Pro? If the jump is good enough, they could be like, oh shit, I didn't even realize the PS5 Pro was built like that. I thought it was just a resolution bunch. That shit is, all right, I'm going to get me a Pro. And now they're good for another 3-4 years because they're getting the performance that they want. But guess what? We didn't move on from generation. The whole industry is still making PS5 games. They're profiting off of the PS5 gen. They're learning the PS5 gen. The new technology that got introduced in the PS5 gen, which is Pixar, everybody's getting a stab at it. Then when you finally move on in 2030 to PS6, more people will be ready for that. That means more games, better technology, everybody's happy. Gamers win, devs win, we get more games. I still think there's going to be cross-gen games. I don't think that's ever going to go away. Going to go away. The cross-gen games is never going to go away. Shout out to Wadawana. He says, no cap, games don't need to take longer. GTA 6 didn't need to take 10 years. GTA Online was just too profitable to get eyes off that game. I feel you, Wadawana. They milked the fuck out of that game, bro. Going back to the PS3, and that's just how it is, man. But I just see like I just still don't see the math. And this is 5 years. Eventually games are going to take 6 years. They're going to take 7 years to make. At a certain point, one game per generation, I don't see that happening, bro. I just don't see that happening. One game per generation. Like that to me, that would be absolutely ridiculous. Like something's gotta give. Something's gotta give. Like
I think this industry would give sooner than what you're saying. I mean, because it just seems as though this industry would either implode on itself, or it will cannibalize itself.
And that's the reason why. Some of these bigger corporations or bigger publishers they are dipping into lives as a service games. It's not just because of the consistent revenue. It's just like Grand Theft Auto Online. You ain't got to worry about generations no more. If you create a live service game that's popping, you're done. You don't have to worry about creating new games every 4 or 5 years. You don't give a shit about when next gen starts. Doesn't matter. You got your game, and you're just staying on that one game. You just make content for that one game, and the stress of making new IPs or whatever is over. Mm-hmm. Look at what they did with Grand Theft Auto 5. That shit launched on PS3. Then they made a PS4 version. Now they have a PS5 version. They had no worries, bro. That's why their companies are going for live service games, Because they can make that one game, and if successful, that shit's perpetual. Look at Fortnite. That shit's fucking. They ain't got. Epic ain't making no other game. Epic's like, fuck
but
that.
Those games are the exceptions. They are not the rule.
Exactly. But they're going to try to make it the rule, and they're willing to risk it. Because what other choice do they have? They make a game, it takes them 5-6 years, and by the time they start the next project, now everybody's talking about next gen. So they're like, fuck this. We could try to make one live service game, and if it hits, that's it. They don't have to worry about that. They don't have to worry about generations ever again.
Right.
And that's what's happening. That's one of the reasons why I think they're doing live service games. They're trying to get away with always making games. They just want to make that one game, and then that's it. Whatever happens, happens. Whenever the generation decides to move on, they'll just make a next generation version, but they'll still keep the old one. Right. They don't have to make new games no more. They just have to port to whatever platform that gets created. They're good. Done. They're out of the whole worry about trying to make new games and make profit with their new games. Oh, we got to make new IPs. They're like, fuck that. We're not doing that shit no more. We're not in the business of making new games. They got their one game. They just support it perpetually, make money consistently. The boundaries of next generation is irrelevant to them. That's it. They're good. Like Epic. Epic's not making new IPs anymore. They're not making big AAAs. They got their Fortnite. Whatever they do is in Fortnite. They're good.
And they also created the Unreal, right? Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
they
fine.
They make engines and they update Fortnite. Right. Back in the days, they used to make a whole bunch of games. Valve is done with gaming. They made Steam. They're like, fuck this. We got Steam.
It's more profitable.
Yeah, we ain't got time to worry about making games as profit. They said, nah, we're just going to be a service provider, a storefront. Once Valve made Steam, people thought, oh, when's my next Half-Life? Gabe Newell was like, fuck that. I'm not making that shit.
Then a real question would be then, this hobby of ours, within the next 10 years, do we still see it as existing?
What I think is we need to look at things like, and this is why I said we're the only ones that do this, because people who enjoy movies, let's say when 4K came out, they all of a sudden didn't say, oh, fuck all these movies at 1080p. I'm not watching them. They didn't do that. People still watch 1080p movies to this day. Hell, people still watch Ghostbusters, movies that came out 20 years ago. They don't move on from art. People, movies or even music, people still listen to the Beatles to this day. They don't move on from art. It's timeless. We, for whatever reason, we're the only community that literally, as soon as a generation begins, what we literally a new PlayStation 6 comes out today, the PlayStation 5 is trash. What the fuck? Literally within 24 hours. We do that to ourselves. And I think we need to change that mindset first. We need to change that mindset and not bash whatever, right? I think we need to change that mindset, because if we don't, I don't know. Something's got to give in terms of how we treat our games. Something's got to give how we treat our games.
Okay, so that brings up an interesting point then, or related to this topic. Then it seems that the only game system, or one of the few game systems that I can actually think of that it truly overstayed its time in the sun
PC.
would be the Sega Genesis. You think the PC?
No, I think I'm gonna say this. PC, as much as we talk shit, PC has it right in the sense that they transcend generations. PC gamers will play games all across, up and down, decades of gaming, all across. Doesn't matter when. To them, there is no generation. It's just games on the platform, and they'll play a game that came out 10 years ago versus a game that came out today. It's all across. You see it all the time on PC platform, right? And that's how we need to look at it from a console's perspective. Just this whole library of games all across, up and down. We just enjoy it. Because if not...
But PCs are iterative.
Yeah.
Consoles aren't.
Well, I agree. But take, for example, cross-gen games. we got to stop the taboo of cross-gen games. We made that taboo, right? That's a taboo term. But the reality is, it's a necessary component of gaming. Especially if your game took 5 years, right? So let's say even if you did launch a game day 1, 2020. Now that's your first game. Your second game comes out in 2025. That's 2 games. Now 2028 is the PlayStation 6. You only made 2 games. What about the third one? It's going to be cross-gen because you already started working on it. But by the time that third game comes out, it's going to look taboo. People are going to ask, why is this cross-gen? Why is it not exclusive to the PlayStation 6? And they're like, well, I can't. I gotta make some. I gotta earn my tools. Like we create these new tools, we gotta get our bang for the buck from these tools. So we created a launch game on the PS5. We created another game released in 2005. The PlayStation 6 comes out in 2028. We released our game in 2030. That's 5-year cycles. But the one that came out in 2030 is a PS5, PS6 cross-gen. But that's taboo. Oh no, you fucked up. What the fuck? This bullshit. You a lazy developer. Fuck you. Never buying your shit again. And you're like, what the fuck? You're like, bro, we started this development after the last game in 2025. What did you think was going to happen? Again, that's why I said 5-year cycle, but 8-year gens, the numbers don't match. Numbers don't match. You're going to have cross-gen games. It's a necessary part. It's not going to change. The math is not there. Mathematically, it's not possible.
Or at least not evenly. No, I mean, I get the point, but I just think that, from my perspective, based on, because we spent a lot of time on this question, but based on everything that was said about this subject, I think that we're starting to see the limits of the gaming industry.
I don't think so, because I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you why. I know people say, "Oh, we're seeing the limits." I'm gonna be like, "Nope." I'm gonna tell you why, and I'm not trying to say you're wrong, but I want you to consider this. If we seen the limits, to me, limits is we tap down all the technologies, everything that's available, everything these consoles can do. We need new shit. If that's the case, then how come the majority of third-party industry ain't doing the VR high frame rate shit Sony's doing with their first party? Majority ain't doing that. So you can't tell me we tapped out, yet the majority industry ain't doing something that Sony's doing with their console that clearly can be done with every game. Yet we're tapped out? You know what I'm talking about, right? Those performance modes?
I know what you're talking about.
So to me, tapped out is everything this consoles do, everybody's doing it, getting the most performance. And they're not. They are not getting the most performance, because if you do those extra performance modes, you're gonna have games running better. I guarantee Final Fantasy Rebirth had those performance modes, games will look better. Mm-hmm. Every third party game will run better. Every game will. Wait a minute.
Then that goes, not to say wait a minute, but that goes back to an earlier point that I said about 5 minutes ago, where I said then the only console that overstayed its welcome would be the Sega Genesis, because that. To me, that console truly was truly overtapped. Like there was by the time 1996 rolled around.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah, I see what you're saying. But you see what I'm saying? Yeah. The PS5, everybody's like, it's tapped out. How? Sony's still really the only developers doing those extra enhanced performance modes. No one else is doing it. So don't tell me you tapped out when every third party starts using that. And they still can't get better performance, then we can have that conversation. But as of now, no one's doing it. At best, they're doing the basic performance mode. That's it. Quality mode, performance mode. They're not doing anything with the HFR, high frame rate VRR combo to get better frames, unlock frame rates, as you see like from God of War or Horizon Forbidden West or Spider-Man. They're not providing those modes. So don't tell me that the industry's tapped out. Do those modes first. I want to see those modes. To me, those modes should be eventually standard. Because what's the point in telling us, get an HDMI 2.1 compliant TV and all this shit, when you're not going to do the modes that takes advantage of these TVs? That makes no sense. So only Sony is going to do these modes? And the majority of third parties not? Now, I get it. They don't have to. Fine. But don't say we're tapped out. We're not. We're absolutely not. They're just not doing anything. And I'm going to tell you, a new console is not going to fix that.
No, it's not.
A new console's not going to fix that. A new console's not going to fix that because they're just going to be just as lazy with the next one.
I agree with that. Man, then I hate to say it. No, you know what? I'm not even going to say it.
Damn, Judge is like, man, damn, Puerto Rock, you just fucked everything up.
No. What I was about to say was that, damn, didn't it seem as though that at some point PC may be the only way to go?
I mean, I'm gonna tell you. I will say this: PlayStation is the last Mohican. Other than Nintendo, Nintendo's fine, but for AAA console gaming, I'll use that term. The high-end console gaming that we enjoy, PlayStation is the last Mohican. PlayStation goes day and date on PC. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, chat, and I said this going back, I think in 2017, 2018. PlayStation goes day and date with PC. Don't be like these Xbox dudes fighting the good fight. If you still love console, it's easy environment, cool, stay that. But understand, there's gonna be a lot of trade-offs. You're gonna see a lot of bullshit, and just like Xbox gamers now, how they see their console now, they realize PC offered a better experience than their console, and now you see so many of them moving over. And I'm telling you, I already see that a PlayStation day and day on PC. Like you might as well not even, unless you really want that easy environment, which is perfectly understandable. But performance, power, price, all the bells and whistles, PlayStation will get killed. PlayStation will be no different than how Xbox will look. People will be like, "What the fuck?" You know what I'm saying? The only thing that right now, the only thing Xbox console has is that it's just easy. It's $400 to $500. It's cheap. It's simple. You plug and play, and as long as you're ignoring the noise, you're ignoring the fanboy, the console war, and you just sit at home and play games, you'll be fine. But if you're into technology, you're on Twitter, you listen to podcasts, you look at reviews, you want good hardware, I'm telling you, day and date PC will kill all that. Shout out to Psycho Gamer. He says, we have not tapped out. We have reached the limit of rate of return for the amount of time that goes into pushing hardware to the limits. So here's the thing. I don't know how to say this, right? Well, let me put it this way. When you look at PlayStation 5, right? Imagine this. It's like saying God of War was tapped out, right? Or let me put it this way. That's like saying Miles Morales was tapped out. Because it had a great whatever. But then in 2021, I think it was 2021, 2022, no, 2021 in the middle, Sony says, hey, we're introducing new technology. We got advanced performance mode. So they updated Miles Morales, they updated Ratchet and Clank, they updated, Horizon Forbidden West, and now you got more performance and better graphics. So then we weren't tapped out. You see what I'm saying? So, Psycho Gamer, to me, before we can say we're tapped out, I need to see these developers use the performance options that PlayStation does in the first party first. These advanced performance, which unlock frame rates. Like Spider-Man, we were playing in the high performance mode. It goes up to 60-something. I think it was NXT, whatever gamer. When they did the high frame rate mode, VRR for Spider-Man Remaster, that shit went up in quality mode in the 60 FPSs. They averaged upper 50s when it was tapped out at 4K 30. But then when they added that mode, everything went up. You see what I'm saying? So before we say we hit the limit of hardware, I need to see these performance options first on these games. And third party's not doing it. They're not. You see what I'm saying? That's why the whole we tapped out, but yet you're not using all the technologies available. I don't believe that yet. I'll believe it once they implement these extra technologies, which is available. Now, granted, they don't have to use it, which is fine, but that's not the same as saying, oh, we tapped out. No, you're just not using technology that's available. Talk to Sony, implement those extra performance mode. Let's see your quality mode in high frame rate VRR unlocked, and we'll see how many frames we could get then. You see what I'm saying?
A third party gamer.
So Psycho Gamer, until they start using these modes that PlayStation has, I'm sorry. We can do more. Those games can do more. They're just not doing it. They just want... Now, if you want to say raw power, yeah, you could probably argue that. But so software solutions and, you know, programming design, whatever the fuck we want to say, also great options to get great performance out of the stuff. That's how Sony was able to get better performance in their first party, by implementing these high frame rates for those who have HDMI compliant 2.1 TVs with VRR and all that stuff. Guess what? You have these technologies, we're going to get more out of your games. And guess what? The games got better. The games perform better. Better resolutions at higher frame rates. They look great. Minimal compromises as compared to the default quality mode and performance mode. So if industries want to say they tapped out, you need to use these tools, or you need to use these techniques first. Implement all these techniques, make them the standard template. And once the industry adopts it as a standard, okay, now we tapped out. In order to go beyond this, we need better hardware. But right now, they're not doing it. There's very few. I think Forspoken did it, I think. I can't name that many games outside of Sony first party that even bothered to use these modes. Pretty much, the industry is really just quality mode, performance mode, and then that's pretty much it. And I'm shocked at Sony's exclusive, like Square Enix. I'm shocked Square Enix didn't use these modes. That's what pisses me off. I'm like, why the fuck Sony didn't cut a deal and say, Square Enix, you need to include these modes too. They're great. They're going to make your game run better. For those that have the TVs, implement these modes. We'll show you. It just blows my mind how these exclusives didn't do it. That's what bothers me with these deals. I want to see more than just marketing deals out of these third-party exclusives, right? If the third-party exclusive is no more than a marketing deal, I'll be like, for me personally, I'm like, whatever. Sure, I talk shit with Xbox guys, but in reality, if Sony makes a third-party marketing or third-party deal for an exclusive, go more than just say, oh, it's only available on PlayStation 5. Help them out, encourage them to be like, hey, check out what these advanced performance options can do. They're going to make your games look great, better performance, better graphics. It's incredible. But they don't. Selling yams. Anyway, but I'll leave it at that, brother, man. We've been here for a little while. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the show. We've been here for a good grip. Shit. I've been here since 5:30. It's almost 9. Good lord. I know it's late for you. But anyway, give your shout out to the chat.
Hey, if y'all want to follow me, my Twitter handle is hosting for Judge. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for me.
All right. Hey, well, you know who I am. Your only friend is YouTube Streets PuertoRock77. I hope you guys truly enjoyed the show. We'll be back next week, same time. I'll bust out a couple of videos throughout the week and see how that goes. But I'll catch you guys on Twitter. But anyway, I love you guys. Thank you so much for rocking out. If you're new to the channel, if you enjoyed the show, hit the like button. There's more to come, more content. Please share this out. Subscribe, all that good stuff. And I truly appreciate everything you do. Consider being a member, joining the 60 Frames Don't Lag family. But all of y'all, hey, I just want to say I truly appreciate it. The metrics are amazing in terms of growth and subscriber rate and view times. I could clearly see many of you are enjoying the content just by seeing how long you guys are watching the videos. Before, my stats was dog shit. Nobody was watching my shit. But now, you guys are actually watching my videos more than 10 seconds, which is incredible. I truly appreciate Not really. I truly appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this content, all right? So I'll see you guys next week. Your only friend is YouTube Street PuertoRock77, and I'm out of here.
Peace. Thank you.